make you so special? Why did he bless you? Think about it. I woke up this morning. Gotta smile when I say that shit. I woke up this morning.
Picking up our voices?
Yeah. So the audio footage is right here.
Cool.
Camera's right there.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. So I'm here with Alex. Are we doing last names? Do you care?
Go for it, yeah.
Alex Wednt, my buddy. He is audaciously introspective. You're a very introspective thinker, and you're honestly one of the most interesting people I've ever met.
Audaciously introspective.
Audaciously.
That's an interesting choice of words.
You're fearless, man. When you go, very intrepid. I don't know. I like.
Very cool. Very cool.
Absolutely. But so
you're honestly one of the. If we're throwing around compliments, you're honestly one of the most motivated, I think, people that I've met.
Like driven?
Driven, yeah. Driven would be a good way.
Thank you.
You have the drive, because a lot of people are inspired, but they don't have the drive.
So like
you know
like inspiration speaking, like maybe
inspiration, like they have all these
short-term.
Ideas or dreams that speak to them that they would maybe want to achieve, but I feel like you have the fuel,
the action,
the fuel that can propel the action.
Hey,
absolutely.
thank you.
No doubt,
I appreciate
no doubt.
that. I'm flattered.
No, I mean, to be quite honest, that's a quality I would like to work on in myself.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it all starts with discipline, and applying that discipline as frequently as possible. So there needs to be a lot of consistency involved with that discipline to achieve whatever the goal is. Because I think the difference between a goal and a dream would be that a goal has preparation, it has hard work, and a dream almost sounds like intangible to you, like something that can't actually be manifested. Like whenever you imagine yourself manifesting that desire, like it never. It seems unrealistic. It seems out of reach.
You hear about people attaining their goals more than people attaining their dreams. I feel like you hear people not attaining their dreams. Dreams.
Like, what would be your dream job, or what's your goal on a job? Like, it's a different question. It has a different connotation to it.
It is a different question, for sure. But yeah, you definitely have the drive to get there. Because like I feel heavily inspired often, but I have a heavy dose of laziness, and I'm willing to admit that.
Okay.
For sure. There's a heavy dose of laziness within me.
Humble.
But
honest.
I'm working on it.
Well, I bet there's some growth involved in that laziness as well. Because I knowing you don't really stray towards, well, maybe you might like something that's not going to progress your growth, something like video games. You might do that for the enjoyment, the pleasure of playing the video game because you enjoy doing it.
Sure.
But I also feel like you're a curious mind. You have a very curious mind, and you spend your free time also feeding that curiosity.
That's a very good observation. I'd say that's accurate in a lot of ways too.
Well worded, or
yeah, well worded.
Okay.
I do spend a lot of free time, playing into my curiosity, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it probably goes both ways depending on the circumstance.
I would say it's 90% good. It can get you in trouble. Curiosity can definitely get you in trouble, but
no doubt.
I kind of disagree with the expression "curiosity killed the cat." I mean, I think curiosity is meant to be taken with some caution, but
curiosity killed the cat. I don't think I'm familiar with that expression.
No way.
Can you describe what it kind of means?
I pretty much just like your curiosity can get you fucked in life.
Okay,
that's probably the best way I could describe it.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, it can. I guess it's a true statement, but
I would say it's more positive that you're curious. My favorite people in life, they are often curious minds. As you and I both like Joe Rogan. I mean, the one word I would use to describe Joe Rogan, if I had to use just one, would probably be curious.
Curious.
At the heart of who he is, and how he's grown as a person into the individual that he is, 50 years old. I think a lot of that stems from his curiosity.
Right on, yeah. And I think that's probably a quality that anybody that hosts a podcast, probably has a good dose of curiosity.
I would say I would describe myself as that for sure.
For sure, yeah. I mean, because there's a reason you would have so many different types of guests on to speak, and
I like a wide variety of guests.
Yeah,
that's what I've had so far. I mean, this is very in the adolescent, premature stages of this podcast, but I would say so far I've been extremely satisfied, extremely grateful for like the turnout with guests, honestly.
Like location-wise, from where they came from, it seems like you've had some variation.
I've had one from Nigeria,
yeah.
one from Ireland just on.
Cool.
And also one from Britain as well.
Oh, look at that. You're getting all sorts of... Have you left the country at all?
I've gone to Jamaica when I was like 3.
Okay. You probably don't remember it.
No, barely.
Yeah, I haven't even so much made my way onto Canada. I've seen Canada.
Really?
Because, this past summer I went to... I was on Lake Erie.
What was that like?
It was cool. Just a lake. Seems like an ocean though, because it's big enough, you know.
Right. I think I've been to Lake Michigan, so I can kind of relate there.
For sure. But yeah, I haven't even really looked at what's up. But yeah, so I could see Canada, but doesn't necessarily mean that.
So I have a question for you that I think you would have a very good answer to.
Okay.
You may or may not. I don't want to build any expectation for me, or the viewers. So, how do you find serenity in stressful points in life?
Serenity in stressful points in life. Okay. Well, ideally speaking, I guess I realize that it doesn't matter. Now, that's way easier said than done, and I don't often perform that, to that bar.
Do you think that thought lies in the comfort of not taking yourself too seriously or not taking life too seriously?
Yeah, there's that that goes along with it, and I guess that's a very radical view, or it can be, depending on to what extent you take it. But I think I kind of realize in stressful situations, I'll try meditating, obviously.
Do you consider yourself a meditator?
Yes.
Frequently?
Yes. I've been meditating more this past, I'd say, month. I've been hitting it up daily a little bit. Not any sort of schedule.
I'm sure you've seen that painting up there. That's a meditating man.
Yeah, that's the one you painted, right?
Yep, that was my first painting ever. Yeah.
He's getting the visions, the colors.
Yep.
If you were to ask me that maybe like a month and a half ago, I wasn't meditating as much.
Okay.
So I don't know. My relationship with meditation kind of it switches around. It changes around, and I guess my relationship with it, kind of everything in my life and everybody in my life switches around. Nothing seems to be static.
That's good.
And I'm okay with that.
It's more spontaneous, less routine.
And routine is not necessarily a bad thing at all. And it's good to even establish a routine. Like, I could totally see myself establishing some sort of specific meditation routine. But at least right now in my life, I kind of just, when I want to meditate, I meditate.
Right.
Half a year ago, I did kind of have more of a routine where I would do a series of like Kriya yoga postures every morning, and then I'd start off with a morning meditation.
Kriya yogurt? Yoga, my bad.
Kriya is just another word for posture in yoga. Or like a set of postures, I guess. Your kriyas that you do, your morning kriyas. And then I would try to do like a morning meditation, then I would have like a meditation for meals and like at night. And I haven't been on that regime
I've noticed
for a while.
Would you say that it makes you a lot more mindful?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
For sure. And a lot of it has to do with what I'm doing in life. Like if I'm really busy, I will do that stuff less. I will end up doing that stuff less. Because I do like
opportunity
a time,
cost.
For sure. I do like a certain amount of time for, as you say, feeding into my curiosities, reading, stuff like that.
Meditation takes time.
Meditation takes time.
Granted, though, it can only take about 10 minutes, and your day will be... I like the way Sam Harris describes it, 10% happier. Or is it Dan Harris that describes that?
I don't know who Dan Harris is. I do know a Sam Harris, if we're talking about the right one.
I believe it's Sam Harris, because I think
he's into meditation. He's into secular Buddhism.
Secular Buddhism.
Secular, yeah.
I'm unfamiliar with that. What is that?
Secular Buddhism. The term secular kind of just means to like, for instance, like when you think of separation of church and state, they want to keep things secular. Like they don't want things religious dogma coming into things. So it's basically like Buddhism without the dogma and like the just the baggage of what some people might call superstitions or like mythologies and interesting cosmologies, So it's more of like a stripped down version of Buddhism. More psychological, I guess.
Is it more structured or?
I'd say it's less structured. It kind of just takes the ideas of Buddhist philosophy and incorporates it into life, but they don't really, entertain ideas like rebirth and like nirvana and stuff like that. They're secular Buddhists, at least my understanding of them. They're just trying to like use the ideas in Buddhism to improve, their livelihood. And it works. It's like Buddhism without superstition and religious ideas. Kind of deal.
I kind of like that. I like
without
that.
This,
a more
without
practical approach.
It is a more practical approach, yes.
So that seems like it'd be more accepted in Western civilization.
In Western
Buddhism.
Than typical Buddhism, yes, certainly, for sure. Yeah, definitely more scientific addled minds would probably be more into secular Buddhism than traditional Buddhist forms, no doubt. But yeah, it's interesting. There's some criticisms of secular Buddhism, but then there's a lot of people that are all for it for sure.
That's cool. So back to the original question, how do you find serenity in stressful points in life?
I think I realize...
You think that comes from your meditation?
I think meditation can play into it. Thoughts that will come up when I'm stressed, when I'm trying to get out of that stress, trying to unbound that stress that I feel, the tensions, often kind of go towards the ideas like, it's all good, you're just a series of processes, just like everything else in nature, this is all natural, none of it is unnatural.
Right.
All of these sensations and feelings, they're just circuits that are lighting up in the brain, body, organism.
Just neurons firing.
You don't have to take it personally. And that's way easier said than done, of course.
So that's
I'm not denying that.
The mentality, like, not like all this is fake, but like...
But kind of.
Yeah, but
yeah. Kind of.
Like, this isn't the real thing. Like,
it's very illusory. It's almost like a projection, in a way, things aren't really soft and hard. That's the way our brain, puts it into a paradigm that we can understand. That's the way it perceives it. That's the way...
And we perceive it through our 5 sensory factors.
Yes. 5 sensories and the brain system.
And then we place judgment based on our own interpretation, based on our limited senses.
Correct.
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as far as being mindful, I think it's important to be mindful that a moment will pass. Everything is temporary.
Absolutely. That's probably another line of thoughts that come up when I'm trying to, find serenity in stressful situations.
Right.
Definitely. That all is impermanent, like I haven't found a single thing in reality that I believe of form that you can take, of any form whatsoever that you can identify that will be that way forever. Things are always changing. So yeah, so even the negative feelings, the bad feelings, stressful times, it'll shift.
It'll fade.
No doubt.
That emotion will pass. That thought will pass.
If I have 100% faith in anything, it is the principle of impermanence.
In impermanence?
Impermanence, yeah. That nothing is permanent.
I would agree. Everything is temporary. Everything is temporary.
Yeah, and that may sound depressing to a lot of people, but
at the same time, it's so beautiful.
It is very beautiful. You can't pin it down.
People like to hold on. They like to hold on, and they want to hold on as tight as they fucking can. They want to hold on as tight as they can.
Absolutely. And then when things change,
they want to control their external surroundings.
For sure.
As much as they possibly can, but realistically, you only have so much control.
Definitely. And then when things change and they're still holding on to things, then there's issues. That's where stress comes from. But yeah, it's an interesting
because they're not accepting what is. That's something I struggle with. I struggle with accepting what is sometimes.
For sure. And again, huge statements. Pretty much will probably ring true throughout the whole podcast. Way easier said than done. It makes sense when you think about it intellectually. For sure, that's where stress comes from. You can't accept the moment. I mean, at least mental stress. Sure, there can be physical stress regardless.
Resisting the resistance.
Yeah, it's the resistance that's the problem.
Instead of just giving in. But like that's what I struggle with, because I struggle with obedience. I like to question everything, and I have a very analytical mind in that aspect. Like, I question, well, why am I doing this assignment? Or why did I do that? Why did I say that? I wouldn't know if I say that too much, because that kind of stems from insecurity. I don't really, like, regret what I say very frequently. Mm-hmm. But when I say something I don't necessarily agree with, or that's just straight up wrong, mm-hmm. I'm willing to admit my wrongs. I don't pride myself on being right.
That's good.
I think that's extremely important, not to pride yourself on, hey, I'm the one that's correct. You know, that's
right.
Those are typically some of the most annoying people in life. Whenever they just can't let a point go, they have their opinion, they're arguing about an opinion, and you guys just disagree, but they are unwilling to admit they're wrong. Mm-hmm. That bothers me whenever you pretty much in an argument pin somebody to the wall and they just won't admit they're wrong.
You got them beat. You got them beat. You got them cornered, and they're just like, well, fuck you, man.
Nobody likes to be vulnerable. Nobody likes to be vulnerable.
Right. Yeah, it's nobody likes to be vulnerable. Nobody likes to be wrong. Nobody likes, it's the insecurity. It's okay to be wrong, mm-hmm. And that's what I think is hard to realize. But if you do, there's a lot of power in that, because then you can't lose. Because if you're wrong, it's just you're wrong. That's it. Nobody wins. Nobody loses.
Wow, yeah.
You're just wrong. You can learn. Great. It's a good thing.
You have to look. That's how you have to look at it. You have to look at it as a learning experience. Mm-hmm. Same with any failure in life. Mm-hmm. That's what. Yeah, because you said I have a very what did you say? How did you describe me?
You're very driven.
Driven, yeah. And I would say with that drive, there's a lot of uncertainty as well.
For sure.
At the same time, there is certainty, but there's a fair amount of uncertainty in, like, what I want to do in life, what I enjoy, what I don't enjoy. So what I've taken, the mentality I've taken, really I've kind of been this way ever since college has started. So I originally went to Chicago, played a semester of soccer. I've been playing soccer for 19 years then. 19 years. But I was 19 years old, and I spent from like age 4 till 19, so like 15 years just playing soccer constantly. Mm-hmm. I always really enjoyed soccer. I love the sport. To this day, I love playing soccer.
Right.
It's one of the most blissful moments I can have. But I decided that I want to try. I always wanted to try new things. All these new things I wanted to try in high school, I just never had the opportunity to, because I was so limited on time. I'd be out of town on the weekends. I would have to go to practice after school, like just very limited on time. So whenever I was finally done with soccer, I took advantage of that, because I just tried new things, and learning from trying new things, I have failed a lot. Mm-hmm. And I've failed on YouTube, and I somewhat failed on, I was pretty successful on Vine, but on top of that, there are a ton of things I've failed and learned from, and I enjoy it. Like, I started a failing business for charity mm-hmm. with some buddies back in college, and honestly, it was a failing business, but I learned a shit ton. I learned a ton in the process, and I think action needs to be taken. Mm-hmm. And just keep on improving on each day, improving from the day before.
Yeah. I mean, failure is inevitable.
Failure is inevitable.
I think most people will fail. But it just depends if you get back up or not, Mm-hmm. But
absolutely. Actually, there's here, I'll show this. I'll get this for the camera real quick. I painted this.
Cool. Oh, look at that.
Here, I'll put it up in front of, I think the camera can see it.
Nice.
I don't know, it's so basically it's like, it says discipline, consistency in the background, and then there's this ledge over here. It says your comfort zone. Make the leap of faith, and all along the stepping stones of success mm-hmm. are mistakes, temporary defeat, and failure.
Indeed. Stepping stones. I like that. I like how the almost like, it's good that you call them stepping stones and not like pillars or, or something. True. But like, exactly, like that is the road. The road to success involves a lot of those things.
A lot of failure and learning from those failures, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thought that was super metaphorical. I just kind of wrote it on a piece of paper one night, and then just ended up painting it in like 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Leap of faith, make the jump, or fear the unknown. Did you do that recently? When did you do that?
I did that probably last May, so like,
right on.
What is that, like 6 months ago?
Cool. You're making me want to paint. You're always doing this painting. And I know you invited me over the one time you thought it would be a good idea to paint or whatever, but I guess I was busy. But
no worries.
We'll have to do that sometime.
I got all the materials, man. Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Especially how you said it's winter coming up. You know, get all nice and cozy.
That'd be fun.
Drink some coffee and paint.
I'm down with that. Yeah, honestly, it's so fun to just like put all your time invested in like creating something that's gonna last forever. That's why I like these podcasts too. I enjoy doing that.
I think. Yeah, I always am searching for these new kind of routes of expression. And it's weird because expression is something I'm trying to figure out because I don't quite understand it yet.
How so?
Why does a species feel that they need to let that something out, you know, whether it be in the form of music? It's
the creative energy?
Yeah, it's not necessarily enjoyment. I mean, there's enjoyment that goes along with it, no doubt. But it's not necessarily all enjoyment. I can't pin down exactly what it is, but like, you know, like, I suck, but I've been wanting to learn how to play the guitar. I've been wanting to, just because it feels good to play. But not on an enjoyment level. It's weird. I just want to put something out.
It's like a mentally stimulating. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Like, it's a weird type of enjoyment. It's like different from like a normal like temporary bliss kind of deal.
It's very important too, I think. And I think a lot of people do it different ways. And I think
like spiritually important.
Yes, yeah, you could say that. But like I just got this mix track. It's like a little DJ set. It has two little like turntables and stuff. And like I know nothing. I'm not super musically inclined. I'm really into music. I like a lot of different forms of music.
Okay.
But I mean, I played keyboard for a while, but I don't really know it, know the gist of it. I don't know the science behind it. But so yeah, there's this mix track sitting in my house, and it's just gathering dust. And I asked everyone, I was like, whose mix track is this? Because, you know, you look online and they're anywhere from $70 to $300.
No shit,
so it's
really?
just like, whose is this? It's just sitting here, no one's using it. And they said, oh, that used to be the person that, Sean was the person that lived in that house before I moved in.
Okay.
And it was his, and he got it for cheap, and he said he didn't want it anymore.
So you just left it behind.
So they're like, you can have it. And so I've been playing with it and like just making little like DJ mixes and having my own little like DJ party.
Oh, dude, that's so cool.
And that's a really interesting form of expression that I really like. And I'll dance and I'll set it up, and it's
so expression
it's
meaning
beautiful.
like having your own outlet. Your own outlet,
yeah. But I've been wanting to draw, I've been wanting to paint, I've been wanting to write, and like I'm trying to find the time to do all that. And that's another
all of those
thing.
are time commitments.
Right.
Well, not necessarily writing, dude. I'm a firm believer in writing. If you want to get something done, obviously every author has their own different way about going about it, about writing, their own writing style. Some like to cram it in 2 days. Some like to. I think it's better to just do it over time. Like write. Hey, I'm gonna write 10 minutes every day. And I started doing that recently. And one, it's thought provoking. Two, gets your problems out. If if you have nobody to like spill your problems to or anything, I think it's better to kind of build rapport with another human being and kind of emotionalize with them and just spill your problems onto them, throw them on them. But also there's something comforting in just typing, like just typing away your emotions, your problems, whatever it is, and it leads to some more introspective thoughts that lead to a solution.
You're kind of like sort of having a dialogue with yourself when you're typing, I guess. Kind of putting your thoughts so you can view them visually, I guess, in some form. And then when you read it, you may even think about it differently. I don't know. But, and then also another thing that, you know, writing every day would be good is that it probably improves your writing skills. You know, it probably makes you more articulate on paper or on, you know, computer or whatever your platform is. Because that's one thing I would really like to write, but then there is a part of me that's like, you're probably not the best writer, because I don't know, English and literature classes have never been my
me neither
my strong subject, but I think I could. The only way to get better is to just do it.
Yeah, true.
You know, so doing it every day, no doubt, will improve. But
just persistence with you kind of just slowly. I feel like whenever you work on something like persistently too, it's like whenever you're not, like it's almost like subconsciously you're getting better at it in the time you're not working on it. Mm-hmm. You know, like I've been through sleep. I've been through sleep at like does something. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. I'm talking like so out of ignorance right now.
For sure, but no, I feel you.
Plus, I don't even know how the fuck I would fact check myself.
On that, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't even know what I type in.
Does sleep make you improve skills done when awake?
What about this? This is a good question for you.
All right.
Do you find it important to know yourself deeply?
Yes. And what that means is very, very interesting. Know yourself. It's very weird because it seems like
Know thyself.
the self always changes. Because when we think of yourself, we're talking about personality facets, traits, stuff like that.
Right.
And though a lot of them remain, I think all of these are fluctuating, no doubt. But some may only fluctuate a little bit, because obviously there's traits you can identify like in yourself that have been pretty true from when you were a kid.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like maybe you were driven as a kid. Maybe I was a very curious kid, stuff like that. But it does seem there is such a shift. So I think part of at least my kind of path of knowing myself is understanding how that self changes and why it changes and what circumstances it changes.
Because the personality is extremely, extremely malleable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. But I think to answer your question before I get off the rails here, I think, yes, it is important to know thyself, but it's hard to know exactly a self fully when that self is always changing. But I think
Very true.
along with that, I think it's very important to be honest with yourself.
I think honest, introspective thinking, honest, objective, introspective thinking is absolutely essential for growth.
Mm-hmm. For sure. But yeah, that's an interesting question because I mean, you know me, I'm a huge proponent of the idea that there's not some sort of core thing, and a lot of people may disagree with this. It's just my view. Not some sort of core thing that you are. You know what I'm saying? I just view you as a series of shifting processes. Some may stay similar throughout your whole life, even. But I think it's
good
always
point.
shifting.
Similar. Maybe not
Similar,
necessarily
but not
the
different.
exact same.
I really like a quote. I don't know who said it, and it's probably been changed. People probably switch around all the time, but you can't ever step into the same river twice. Because one, it's not the same river.
Meaning?
Because it's always flowing. So you step in the river and then you take your foot out and you step in again. There's different water molecules touching your foot. It's a completely different river, but or at least that section of the river. I guess it's the same river conventionally speaking. But and also, you're not the same man. So you can't step in the same. A man can't step in the same river twice because it's not the same river and it's not the same man because you're always changing. From this moment to the very next moment, I am same but different than the last moment, and I think that's true on every single level.
Just everything's changing.
Everything. There's nothing that's just chilling, in my opinion.
What about like an object?
It's changing. I mean, the molecules are obviously moving. Obviously, things are fluctuating. Even when you think about like things that are like frozen or whatever, obviously there's some sort of electron movement happening. There's some cycles going,
Right.
Even when you think about stuff like that. And also there's a lot of stuff we don't understand on that kind of level, the quantum level. You know what I'm saying? Obviously there's shit always happening on the quantum level.
Are they starting to believe that they believe consciousness exists within all of matter?
When you say they, depends who you ask. Scientists, I think
I was listening to a podcast with Russell Brand and somebody else the other day.
I know Russell Brand thinks that.
He definitely absolutely.
I know Russell Brand thinks that. And it's also weird how you define consciousness also. Consciousness is a weird thing. A lot of people, a lot of religions, a lot of groups have way different definitions of what consciousness is. And I think that's something...
I bet they're all wrong to some extent. I bet everybody's a little wrong.
Probably a little bit
Some
wrong.
are probably closer to the truth than others, but...
And then there is scientific theories that kind of state what that is. They kind of equate information to consciousness. Information theory, there's an acronym that stands for, I can't remember what it is and what the exact acronym is and what it stands for exactly, but it's, I don't know,
But you remember there's an
But
acronym.
I remember there's one. And yeah, it's the information theory, and it kind of has a similar idea that like consciousness is just information.
You said the simulation theory?
Information theory.
Information theory.
Integral information theory or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, and it kind of equated consciousness with information or data, however you want to take that, and that everything is just data at the base level. So
I think I know
that
what you're talking about as far as like all ones and zeros, right?
Kinda.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's interesting you say that, like, everything is consciousness. Obviously, there's a lot of views in metaphysics where they would say that, if you've heard of, like, the different densities, like third density experience, fourth density experience, stuff like that. And that's kind of the idea. And, like, densities is a concept, I don't know when it originated, probably sometime in the... Probably not maybe mid though, maybe later 1900s, I guess, but it kind of took off.
Does it derive from the different dimensions by chance?
A lot of people relate them to it, but they are different because dimensions are spatial.
Okay.
So, obviously, first dimension, point, second dimension, line, and then the third dimension you get depth or whatever. And then, at least our understanding now is the fourth dimension is time. And then, depending on
which they believe can be overcome with love. As far as
who's we or
Interstellar,
they.
Interstellar. That's
Interstellar. Yeah, Interstellar has a very Interstellar. I think would be a movie you could argue that has a kind of an idea that everything's consciousness in a way. It kind of pulls from Upanishadic ideas, which is
I
like
love that because
Hindu-
they threw
Hindu
their
ideas.
subjective theoretical thinking onto like space and time and all of it.
Yeah,
all
and
science.
how it all, and like, the people that are actually communicating with us is ourselves, and everything's one, and everything's the same.
I gotta watch that movie
Everything
again.
is mind, everything is consciousness.
My roommate just watched that like a few nights ago, and he was saying how good it was again. But I've seen it once, and luckily I was fortunate enough to have a buddy who was there sitting there, and he would pause it, he would explain it to me, because there were times, dude, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
I was so confused.
Have you seen 2001, Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, it's a slow one, so if you want to watch it, you better strap in and have some
Well, that's fine.
things to make it more
Interstellar
interesting.
Pretty long.
Interstellar is long, but it's very visually...
Action-packed.
And action-packed. The movie I'm speaking of is older.
Okay.
In fact, you should fact check and see what year it is. Just type in 2001 Space Odyssey.
Well, if I just type in
Space Odyssey, you should find it, honestly. Space Odyssey, and then just see what year it was. Probably, 70s or so, right?
Oh, so it says
Right.
so it's supposed
68.
to be
68.
wow. Oh, I thought you were saying 2001 referring to the time that the movie was released.
No, it's called 2001 Space Odyssey.
Oh, no, this is like this is them kind of imagining what it'd be like in the future.
Yeah,
The irony is that we've landed on the moon. We landed on the moon in the 60s, and we haven't
movies
been
that do
fucking-
that, they're like have a title, and we're like, we're already past the time. We don't have any of that. But yeah, that's an
How
interesting
disappointing! How disappointing for them. I bet the director of this film probably killed himself, man.
movie. Kubrick, he did The Shining. You familiar with The Shining?
Kubrick. Okay. No, I'm not.
You don't know The Shining either?
I've
You gotta watch the
heard,
movies.
maybe heard of it. I don't know.
That's funny that I'm telling you to watch movies because usually
Wait,
I'm
what's-
the one that needs to watch movies.
What's the name of The Shining? Or I mean, what's
The
the
Shining.
Let me see this. Wow.
The Shining. That's yeah.
No joke, dude. So Jack Nicholson?
Jack Nicholson's in it. He plays this crazy dude who's just insane.
No shit. I was going to
It's
watch
a thriller.
this
It's
the
a
other
psychological
day.
thriller. It's really good. You should watch it. It's creepy too.
Psychological horror.
Yes. Yeah. It's pretty good. Thriller, psychological horror. You should definitely watch it. But
That's funny. I was researching. I just picked an actor the other day, and I chose Jack Nicholson. And this movie popped up as one of his most famous movies. So I was gonna watch it the other night.
yeah. And anyway, back to Space Odyssey. Space Odyssey, in my opinion, has a lot of similar themes that Interstellar had. Like when I saw Interstellar, I was like, this is like a. It's not, but like it's kind of like a newer kind of idea of the ideas thrown around in Space Odyssey. And but yeah, it's a long one. It's it's 1968, so it'll be slow.
Right.
A lot of the scenes is just like camera's not moving much.
Well, if it's
They're
worth
walking
my
around.
time, then
It's totally worth your time.
I
But
can
like,
be pretty patient.
maybe you could paint and have a friend talk and I don't know, do something while you're watching it. I don't know. But it's pretty good, and it gets you thinking, and it has similar ideas to...
Camera might be dying.
Uh-oh. Do you have a plug-in that you can charge it while it's...
Oh, no,
while
no. It's
playing?
like a portable battery, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Did it give you...
Yeah, it's cool.
Did it just turn off right now?
So what it'll do now is we'll just be in like an audio format. Actually, if you want to take a selfie real quick? Actually, we'll do it after. We'll do it after.
Take a selfie? Why?
Yeah, because then, so like instead of like putting, instead of the video, we'll just use the selfie.
Oh, of just a picture of us?
Yeah,
right
yeah.
on, right on. Yeah, we can do that for
Cool.
sure. But yeah, watch those two movies. I don't even remember what we were talking about initially. We went way off the
This is how I've been living my life lately, and I feel like you kind of can relate to this. I feel like you definitely can relate to this because you have this inner calm, this mental peace that you bring with you everywhere you go. It's within your presence, though. Like it's a vibe kind of thing. And lately, I've made a point not to judge anything, and I've noticed a lot more inner peace within myself. Because whenever you're not judging the world, the exterior world around you, you're placing your projections on it.
Exactly.
You don't interpret the world that way.
That's very good. That's wonderful. I mean, you really paint what the world is to you, and if you cast no judgment, and that's, again, easier said than done, going back to that, but like if you were to do it perfectly, it would just seem like a series of interesting sensations and colors and thought forms that arise. It would seem like this whole abstract, symphonic light show that's just awesome, honestly. When you have no judgment on anything, everything almost has this like formless nature. I mean, obviously you can pick out form, but you don't cast your own form onto it that makes it either bad or good. You place your own duality on things and say like, well, this is good, this is bad, I want things this way, I don't want things that way, you know what I'm saying? So you get into this game of highs and lows when you could just completely open up.
Opinions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That you're right. They not having those or placing those projections onto the external world. Like, yeah, it puts you more at peace.
Absolutely, for sure. Because, I mean, I don't really know how else to describe it. But that I think. Again, that would be some of the higher states of meditation. What that kind of takes you through is you stop identifying things, you stop placing things in categories, compartmentalizing things, mentalizing things. You stop doing all that, and then you just see everything for what it is, not for what you want to think it is. Because thoughts are just thoughts,
Which that clarity derives from seeing it more honestly, more of the truth. You're closer to the truth.
More of the truth. Not to say that thoughts aren't true, but like obviously it puts like a film over whatever you cast that thought onto. You know what I'm saying? And
I agree.
It'll paint something in a different light. Whether you think that tree is ugly or beautiful, or you just think, no, it just is. It just is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It's not bad. It's not good. It just is.
And just let it be.
If you can flow with that, then you have peace. If you resist against that, then you don't. That's the basis of it.
So would you take that same mentality on judging things that people throw the idea that it's bad? So like maybe like a horrific event like Pearl Harbor, for example.
Right.
If you're looking at that from an American standpoint, that might get you pretty angry at the Japanese.
For sure. It's hard because there's so many different levels you can view this on. Because on the humanitarian, psychological level of I'm a human, this is my country, these are people, I don't want people to experience pain because it's unpleasant. There's all that side of it, and then there's the higher mind side of it of just like it's just animals being animals. It's just the planet being a planet. It's just the universe being the universe.
They're acting out of their nature.
They're just doing what they're doing. It's just the atoms are moving how they are, and the molecules are moving how they do, and energy's fluctuating how it does, and that's what it looks like. You know, you can take it or leave it. And again, that sounds depressing from the standpoint of someone who is not okay with that. And that's the hardest part, is acceptance and, you know, being okay with that present moment.
It is hard to accept things.
And it's hard when you talk about sensitive topics like that, like Pearl Harbor, things like death, things like murder, things like rape.
Because you have your subjective opinion about that.
Because you are a human.
It's ingrained in you.
The minds are born of, or the thoughts are born of the human mind, and it's hard to see it from any other way that this is shit and this is awful. We need to get rid of it. And on a societal level, yes, we should try to minimize some of the things like murder and stuff like that, you know, because we want it easier. We want to make it we want to make this reality as pleasant as we can,
right?
You know, but you have to understand that those efforts will always fail, you know, because everything that's born will die. You know, even if you don't get murdered or raped in your whole life,
so there will
you're
always
going to end up dying. There will always be problems. We're not going to fix everything.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to fix everything. And it's weird because
it'd be insanity to believe that we would.
Right. And again, the sensitive topics are hard to talk to a lot of people about those things, because a lot of people will ask me how I feel about, like for instance, there was a perfect example, and I'm trying to think of what he texted me about. Can I look through it real quick?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
My friend Brandon texted me about a tragedy that happened. It was a while ago. I can't remember which one it has.
Was it like swept under the rug? Not really heard about it too much?
No, I think it was popular. The only reason I can't remember what it was is because this tragedy is always happening.
I know.
But let me see. It wasn't too long ago.
Lose sight of how many there really are.
Yeah, and we had quite a few long texts back to each other, so I should be able to find it pretty easy. But yeah, it was about something. You probably have heard about it. Yeah, here it is. It says, you popped into my mind. What's going through your mind with everything that went down in Las Vegas, the Las Vegas shootings?
Okay,
you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
So the shootings in Las Vegas, and I had no single response for him because I had to give him what I think about it on all of my different levels. And
so what do you think about it all?
Well, I said to him then, I was just like, I mean, obviously on the human level of me, I'm just like, yeah, that sucks. I feel for the families. I'm empathetic towards the victims. You know, it also there's also a slight part of me that's empathetic towards the shooter. Obviously, he was disturbed.
You still feel compassion for him.
I mean, I try. And then so all those things stir me up, and then I gave him an honest answer, and then I said, on another level, on the selfish level, it doesn't bother me. I don't really think about it. It didn't happen to anybody I know. And it sounds shitty, but that's how the mind works. I mean, when
it doesn't affect you personally,
it's hard to be that upset about it.
Absolutely.
You know, because obviously there's shit happening everywhere in the world, and it's hard to be upset by every little thing that happens unless I see it firsthand and I experience the pain and the suffering firsthand. And then on another level, I said, I'm totally fine with it. And this is the less human, not to say less that's bad, but less human side of me in that I know that it's just the universe being the universe. It's the same thing as a lion taking down a gazelle. It's just animals acting like animals. I mean, obviously not the same, like obviously he wasn't hunting for food, but I just mean that, like, you know, these beings that arise in reality are going to torture each other.
Right.
For sure. That's just the way it is. That's how they react. That's how energy flows. That's how atoms move. That's how molecules move. You know, and you can look at, there's just so many damn levels to this whole thing, and you can look at all the lower things and just be like, it's exactly how it's supposed to be. It's just the laws of physics playing out into this drama.
They're acting out of nature.
And then when you think about it on the psychological human level, it's like, well, yeah, totally, and it sucks, and I'm attached to being human. I'm attached to the good sensations, and I don't want any of that stuff to go down, and it makes me sad, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many different levels to think about all that. And I do think the highest mind would be to see it all as just is.
Just what it is.
And again,
just full acceptance.
Full acceptance. And again, it's hard to talk about those sensitive things, especially it's hard to bring that idea to the table if I were to talk it to, like, the victims' families. You know what I'm saying? It would be impossible. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
Their frame of reference is just so distorted.
They'd be like, you know what? Fuck you and fuck your ideas. This fucking sucks. My son or whatever died in cold blood, you know, or whatever. And I wouldn't have anything to say to that, you know, but again, I know that.
But you'd be empathetic of them.
I would totally be empathetic.
So you just wouldn't, it wouldn't even be said.
I wouldn't say it. No,
right, yeah,
I wouldn't say it unless they gave me, if they were to say to me like, all right, man to man, full spiritual advice. What do you think is up with this? And then I'll tell them. I'll tell them what I think. But I can't do that during a grieving process.
Yeah,
you know?
true.
So,
and everybody grieves differently too.
For sure. So with sensitive events and information like this, it's hard to bring, you know, these kinds of ideas.
Well, that's well said. That's well said. Yeah.
You know? And I guess you just have to be aware who you're talking to, and you have to be aware what they're going through, and should only. I mean, in those circumstances, you should only give them information that you think might help them, regardless, you know. But they might change on a case-to-case basis.
But sometimes people that just don't want to be helped. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will resist.
And some people, you know, shouldn't be helped by those ideas in that moment. You know, they need to grieve. They need to feel sad. They need to be with their family. They need to think about that and cry about it and suffer through that, you know. It's how you release, you know. Man. You got to cry. I mean, that's why you cry. You got to release. You got to take it easy.
That'd be difficult. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of conspiracies about that.
Like conspiracies about of the shooting. Yeah, I didn't really read too much into it. I just know that it happened.
Same. That's how I kind of was. I just had a buddy kind of inform me that it was. That I watched an interview from a girl who was there during the shooting who ended up living, fortunately, and she was like, no, I'm 100%. She was speaking with full conviction. Mm-hmm. There were two shooters. There were more than one shooter. She's like, there was no way there was just one shooter.
It totally could have been. Yeah, I don't know.
It's crazy.
It's funny. I haven't, admit, I haven't been keeping up really with a lot of stuff that's happening globally, like those kinds of events.
It's hard to in college.
Because I just know that they're always happening and that they're always going to. So It's like I don't think about them any differently. My opinion hasn't changed of something that has happened. They're like, so what do you think about this, man? It really sucks. I still view reality the same way. So I don't know why I need to be aware of all those things because I'm already aware of all those things.
And it kind of clutters your mind if you focus on it too much.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So I don't. There's always going to be murder. There's always going to be rape.
I don't like hearing about that stuff, and because I don't like living in fear. I like living audaciously. I like living with just going and doing whatever I want to feel like doing, and I don't like being. Granted, I mean, if there's a war going on, I don't want to like travel to a country, but like, there are always going to be problems in the world. There's always going to be chaos, you know, and like that's just the risk you got to run if you want to be adventurous.
Right.
And I think being adventurous is got to be taken on without fear. Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So what would you say how do you personally find a balance between being selfish and unselfish? Because obviously there needs to be some kind of equilibrium between the two, whether it's a 60-40 or whatever you tend to prefer. I personally tend to stray a little bit more to the selfless side.
Selfless side?
Yeah, but I also...
do you mean like how the mind works in general, or do you mean...
how do you personally like to deal with that situation?
Which situation?
Like just a philosophy on life, like an outlook, like how selfish do you think?
Idealistically speaking, I would like to be full selfless.
Right.
But I fall way short. I think I'm majorly selfish. And I guess my opinion is most people probably are. I think that's the way these organisms thrive in the first place. I think it's hardwired into our programming. In order to propagate species, and I think a lot of and I really like because it's cool when I feel like sometimes I'll get into a state of mind where I feel completely, genuinely compassionate and selfless, and whenever I get there, it's awesome. It's so cool because it's just like, oh, in this moment, I really don't care about myself. I just want. I want these people to be raised up. I want less suffering.
Right.
But yeah, I think for the most part, I think definitely I operate on a more selfish basis. And again, that's just me trying to be honest. I try not to.
I think
everything I do is because I want to do it, for myself.
Okay.
But
so at that point, it just depends on on your intentions. If you have positive intentions, then I really don't see a problem with that. And at this point in our life, I think it's healthy to be pretty selfish at times. But
that's a weird,
not as much as most people.
It's a weird topic.
The common man, I typically would personify as very selfish.
Yes. Yeah.
And
for sure.
It just is what it is, like we were saying. And
maybe I'm thinking too subtle, when I say that I'm like very selfish or whatever.
Right.
Because maybe in like a broader idea.
Because I know you.
Right.
And
maybe
you're a pretty selfless guy.
Okay. So like maybe in like the broader understanding of like selfless, yeah, you can definitely pick up people that are like, that guy's kind of a dick and he's pretty selfish, and that guy's he's pretty cool. He definitely is more considerate and whatnot.
But again, that's placing judgment on everything.
Again, yeah, for sure. And it's hard not to, when having these stimulating conversations, have all sorts of in society. You gotta have judgments.
Absolutely.
too. It's weird. Everything just.
I just think there needs to be a very fine line drawn on particularly like clothing.
Clothing?
Like clothing. Like, I don't think there needs to be any judgment on what anybody else wears.
Oh.
Like, if I find myself judging, like I see another person and they're wearing whatever's out of style. Like for example, I know cargo pants are very
like in that sense, I think. Okay, well, I have an extremely radical view.
Okay.
I'm down for everyone walking around naked.
I'd be down with it. Besides the warmth aspect.
The what?
The warmth aspect.
Okay, yeah. I mean, like if it's cold outside, definitely. I'm not saying like outlaw clothes. I'm just saying I think you should be allowed to. We're animals.
Respect.
And I think that a lot of our shame comes from some of those weird views we have on society of like, oh, I gotta hide this. Like, oh, don't let anybody see that. And it's like, but we all have one.
Yeah.
Literally. We and most animals, okay, most meaning I guess most mammals, have all the same shit we do in different ways or whatnot. And so like I think a lot of the maybe like self-loathing and shyness and like afraid to express yourself comes from a lot of these things that are just like, you gotta wear clothes, you gotta look nice here, and be like, well, why does that look nice? Because we've been told, we've been programmed.
Yeah,
that's what looks nice.
That's what you gotta start questioning. You gotta question your beliefs, question what you like, your interests, your desires, question all of it.
But yeah, on the basis of fashion, I don't think you definitely shouldn't judge anybody for what they decide to wear.
Absolutely not.
I mean, they wear whatever they want to wear. My parents hate the clothes that I wear.
Really?
Yeah, they're super not about it. I'm just like, but it's more comfortable, and I like the patterns.
It's really whatever you value.
Look like an old man or a homeless man. I'm like, hey, I'm okay with that as long as I'm comfy and I like how the clothes looks.
Respect.
I like looking at certain art. I like having certain art in my house, so I don't see why I shouldn't like having a certain type of art on me.
Well, that's where the serenity lies as well, is not caring what other people think.
Right. And obviously, how you want to take that on the level of you shouldn't be afraid of how people think of you, but on another level, like you should definitely be considerate of others. But yeah, like if it's not affecting other people, a certain behavior is not affecting other people at all, yeah, you definitely shouldn't be afraid of what other people think of that behavior.
Absolutely. Like for example, breaking a norm. Just breaking a norm out in public. Like that is something I think has added a huge part of my personality, and a lot of growth has come out of this. But I've always been, I don't know, like I'll just do anything in public, honestly. Like I just don't really care. I don't know.
That's good.
I'll talk to like strangers all the time. Like
you should.
I don't know, and that's definitely come even more because I've made pretty good friends with my friend from Australia when he was here, and he was very much like that. He would talk to anybody, anytime. He would just sit down with random strangers and like eat dinner or eat lunch with them. I don't know, just a very outgoing presence.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very good. But yeah, definitely doing those kinds of things definitely makes you comfortable more with yourself, and I think it strengthens that comfort level. You know what I'm saying? Because like,
yeah.
And yeah, again, back to like, just like everybody can walk around naked or whatever. Like, at this point right now, I wouldn't really feel comfortable just like taking my clothes off right now.
Right.
I would feel shy. I'd be covering up, and I'd be like, and I would honestly blame the circumstance of my arising, my form I took, my birth.
Okay.
You know, in the society and what I was taught and stuff like that. If I was born in a forest, raised by jungle people, I wouldn't give a shit about any of that stuff.
Absolutely. It's how you're conditioned.
And so like.
Well, also, granted, like
if
you were like walking around naked, like outside, like you're fucked. Like lawfully, you're.
Oh, yeah, lawfully, I'd be fucked. No doubt. But
I know what you mean. Like for example, if I don't know, just like walking, even it's like when I'm here alone, like I don't like walking around naked. Well, partially because anybody could walk in at any moment, but like. Yeah, actually, that's probably the main reason. Because, like, back home, if I know nobody's going to be home, like, I'll just walk around my house naked sometimes, you know?
Right, yeah.
But even then, it's a little uncomfortable. And why should it be? Because we've learned, like, pretty much 90% of our lives are spent with clothes on. Probably a lot more than that, actually.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, probably a lot,
like 99%.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, showers are the only time.
I can't think of any time.
Showers, sex, I don't sleep naked.
Yeah.
I mean... I feel pretty comfortable being naked, like in my room, even when people are home. I've gotten there for sure. To be quite honest with you, if I'm in my room and I'm just doing my own thing, I might be naked.
That's fair.
And I started that probably like 2 years ago or whatever. A lot of times I'll sleep naked. Sometimes I don't. Depends if I want to be cold or how I want to feel.
Well, that, just like you said earlier about being kind of just out there in public or talking to whoever or being extroverted in public, kind of having a fuck it mentality, not taking yourself too seriously, it has the same benefits. Mm-hmm. Wait, what were you just saying a second ago? My bad.
I can't remember.
It was,
did I end my sentence? I might have.
Nudity, being naked, like you're more comfortable. Oh. Like sitting, I bet that would make you more comfortable with yourself.
Yeah, it totally does. Just sitting naked, it's just like, I mean, I don't see why I need to have clothes.
Like exposed.
I'm just an animal, and I'm comfortable. I have blankets. I'm not cold. I'm not hot. I mean, I don't know why this should be an issue. And I can feel more things. So like, why wouldn't I want to be this all the time? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. And it makes me think about myself differently. Like when I'm just like looking at myself, I feel less human, more animal, but still have the higher mind of human. You know.
Right.
But like I just feel more rooted and based, I guess. And
more rooted in nature?
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like I'm more a part of nature. And obviously my view of nature is radical. I think that buildings are nature. But, you know, it's just painted in a different...
Yeah,
It's just weird nature is what it is. You know, we're animals. We're just weird animals. We're just very different from...
We've just taken from the earth and created buildings.
I know, yeah. I mean, it's all nature. There's nothing that's not nature. I mean, when you obviously, if you looked up the exact definition of nature, the dictionary may disagree. Right. It may be like, nothing, whatever is not man-made is nature or whatever. But so I guess I have a different view. So I guess that wouldn't be accurate to say everything's nature. Well, but here's how I think about nature. I think everything's nature. I think, you know, I think everything's natural. There's nothing that can't be natural. If something is unnatural, then it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen in the universe if it wasn't natural. You know? Right. Clothes is natural because it happens. Natural. Murder is natural. Rape is natural. You know.
That's weird to think about.
Clothes is completely natural, or else it wouldn't happen. It, you know, which is why I don't believe in the supernatural. Which doesn't mean I'm not like spiritual is a loaded term. It
just funny you said that. I was about to ask if you believe in the supernatural.
I mean, I'm not saying there's not subtle energies and things that we can't explain, but they're all natural occurrences because they happen. You know what I'm saying? If something happens in the universe, if something happens in reality, to me, it's natural. Nothing can ever happen that is unnatural. Because if it were, because it just can't. Nature can't do it. The universe can't do it. It can only do stuff that it can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's serenity in that thought, man.
There's a huge amount of serenity in that thought. And that would be...
There's liberation
I left it out, but when you ask me how do I find serenity in stressful situations, that would be another... All of these thoughts that I've been talking about are things that'll come up when I'm trying to find serenity.
Okay.
Or no thoughts if I'm trying to just meditate. You know, so it can go either way. But yeah, to me, everything is nature. Everything. There is nothing that is not nature. Because that doesn't even make sense to me.
I would agree.
I mean, obviously, on a specific, real Webster's dictionary level, yeah, everything might not be nature, because the definition of nature might be like not man. Like, yeah, look up the definition. I want to ponder the definition of what society says the definition of nature is for a second. So, like, nature definition. Let's just see what Google says.
How does Mr. Webster define nature?
Type in a definition, it should come up right there. Yeah.
Clutch.
So, the phenomena of the physical world collectively, including plants, animals, the landscape, and other features and products of the earth as opposed to humans or human creations. So, this definition of nature does not agree with my definition of nature. So,
well, I would agree with yours more. Why does it have
here,
to have a human creation?
Right, because I mean, science agrees that humans an animal, right?
Uh-huh.
So why would anything that, if you see monkeys walking around, picking up, we'll observe monkeys, digging for food or whatever with sticks or whatever, and they're using tools. Why is there a line drawn when we figure out how to build tools in a different manner? Why is there a line drawn and we say that's unnatural?
We've just been able to manipulate nature
in different ways.
A little bit more effectively or a lot more effectively.
A lot more effectively, yeah. But it's still nature happening. It's still nature doing it.
Absolutely.
And here even it says the phenomena of the physical world. When you think of the psychological realm, in the mental realm, when you think of things that, ideas that aren't physical, I think those are natural too.
Those electrical impulses.
Right. I find a lot of definitions that it's from an academia standpoint, it's sacrilegious to say that I disagree with the definition of something, because it's the definition of something. I should just create my own damn definition. I'm really so stubborn about it. But so it's weird when you say
you're questioning it.
I'm questioning it. It's weird when you say well, I agree with your definition of nature. Yeah, but maybe I shouldn't call it nature then. Maybe there needs to be another word to talk about what I'm talking about. Because if this is the word, because if I just disagree with half the definitions that are thrown around, then language just fails. The reason language works in the first place is because it's a collective agreement of this means that and this means that.
Right.
So yeah, I guess it makes sense. Maybe my view of nature is wrong, I'd say. Is wrong compared to the collective definition of nature. I'd say it's a wrong view. But that's how I think about nature. And if it needs another word tacked onto it, maybe I'll create one someday.
Sounds more logical.
It does sound more logical, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Closer to the truth.
Closer to the truth. But yeah, I mean, society definitely separates humans and animals, even though they're the same thing. No doubt.
I try to remind myself of that frequently, how we are just fucking animals.
Mm-hmm. But
we're spiritual beings with usual human experiences.
Yeah, there's some quote that's like.
Yeah, I was trying to quote it.
Oh, the quote or something. It's just like, you're not a human having a spiritual experience. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. Or whatever. And I was just like, yeah. I mean, it depends. It depends what you mean by that. It depends what view of reality you have. I guess it means what you mean by spiritual being. If you believe in like a soul or whatever, that you have a body, then yeah, that would hold true. For me, it's more true in the sense that nature is having a human experience, I'd say.
Okay.
My definition of nature, obviously they wouldn't agree. They'd be like, but nature's not human. Humans aren't nature, though. Buildings aren't nature.
Hey, we're all just stardust, right? We're all just stardust.
But yeah, funny ideas. But I find so many. I wanted you to look that up because I find so many definitions that I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense to me. This is how I want to see it.
Yeah, that's interesting to me because that's where the line is drawn. It's humans.
For sure.
Human is.
But I accept for the viewers. Yes, I accept that my view is wrong. Of the collective agreement that we have all agreed.
Get some hate on YouTube.
I know.
Fuck this guy. Fuck this guy.
He doesn't know what. I understand. I fully acknowledge full well that with the collective agreement of the definition of nature, I am wrong. But that's how I think about it anyway. I'm a stubborn one.
Noble.
I'm a stubborn one. But
so, what are your thoughts on free will?
I do not believe in free will.
I don't know if I believe in free will.
I believe in the illusion of free will. Okay, so here's.
But the illusion of free will is in itself an illusion. I can't elaborate on that anymore, but I read that.
To me, that just seems like the sentence that it said. Illusion, free will.
That's a quote.
But that illusion is an illusion. But I think, here's how I see it. I don't think thoughts are magic. Like I said, I don't believe in the supernatural. I don't believe in the magic. I think that, like, if we knew all of the equations that go into every facet of life, if we have a ball, you know, we know its weight, we know its mass, we know the wind conditions, and you're going to throw it. We know exactly, if we could all just pin it down exactly, take that exactly word for what it's worth, but if we knew everything, and we know how much force I'm going to put on the ball, we know exactly the arc, we know exactly the direction, all of the environmental conditions, we know exactly where it'll land, you know, because the physical laws, they don't seem to change. They just reality behaves how it behaves.
They're laws for a reason. They govern life on Earth.
They're laws for a reason. Yeah, they govern life on Earth, and whether you want to call them laws or behaviors is
I prefer laws because it's very structured.
I like laws, but it almost sounds like there's like a dominion, like a lawmaker.
Okay.
And I view it more as just like, this is how nature behaves. It behaves consistently. It behaves consistently.
Well worded.
But it's behavior. So if we knew all that, we know exactly where the balls land. We know exactly how it'll bounce. We know exactly how far it'll roll. So if all that holds true, and you don't believe in the supernatural, and you don't believe in magic, and you don't believe that some things can just like be outside of the laws, and sure, like I said, there's other subtle levels to reality, you know, if there's different densities, different dimensions, regardless, you know, other laws might govern those differently.
Right.
They're all connected, obviously. But so I don't see how thoughts and actions can take any sort of different occurrence. The reason that ball moves the way it does is because of a cause. It's an effect that happened because of a certain cause. If the exact same conditions were to be recreated in some sort of like different parallel universe or whatever, the exact same conditions were created, the ball would land in the exact same place, right? Absolutely. So why do we think that there's some sort of free will, like we get to choose things, when it seems like the brain works how the brain works? I'm talking to you about all this stuff because of a set of previous conditions, previous causes.
It's
a cause and effect, condition, and condition.
It's kind of all life is, if you think about it. It's
exactly.
Just cause and effect.
So I think there is no room for free will, and that may sound depressing, but again, in my opinion, it's kind of liberating. It's sort of like, oh, cool. You can't really. Sure, you can fuck up from a human society standpoint or whatever, but you can't fuck up universally because it's just nature doing its thing. And so all these thoughts that I'm talking to you here,
because you can never fuck up universally.
Exactly. All these thoughts that I'm having here, all these words that you're hearing here, they're all just the fruit of seeds that were planted. They're all just effects of previous causes, and it works on a very specific law-to-law basis. I raise my hand because there was all of reality that happened before this led up to the effect of raising that hand and the thought impulse that happened and all of that. I think we still have the illusion of free will. I still feel like I'm doing things. Totally. I still feel like there's voluntary actions and involuntary actions.
And that you can consciously choose
things, but I think all those decisions are completely based on previous conditions. And in reality, there is no real control ever.
So how do you explain desires? Do you think our desires are
the same
predetermined?
Way.
Subconsciously predetermined?
Sure. They'll form just due to a ridiculous amount of factors.
Factors of the past.
Factors of the past, but totally, I don't think that thoughts are some weird thing that's outside of the laws of nature that are just like, yeah, but you can shape them how you want, and like, no, I don't accept that. I think it's a very systematic unfolding of reality.
Well, as far as desires go, you're going to desire what you've been exposed to, whatever you see as a real potential possibility. So people, for example, are being exposed to frequently like celebrities, like acting, like a sports athlete or whatever. Maybe they see their parents being a real estate agent or whatever it is. So that exposure to those things can create a desire. Mm-hmm. So it's really comforting to think that the internet exists, because that reach of exposure that an individual can now take and possibly have a desire for, it just seems like it's going to create a more optimal society, because people are going to be doing more what they really want to do. So in return, people are going to be more just happy, more content with life.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, I agree. And it's such a weird way to think. Like, free will is such an interesting topic to me, because like I'll talk to people and they'll be like, "That doesn't make any sense to me, Alex." And then, but like when I think about it, it's just like, why are thoughts outside the realm of physics? Isn't the brain just a series of, circuits? Isn't the brain just electrical firings, neuron firings and stuff? Aren't those where thoughts come from? All of those follow the same physical laws that everything else does, because it's a physical system. So I don't see why it would ever. I don't see how there would be any free will, no. But I mean, obviously a lot of people would disagree with me on that, and I'm sure a huge percentage of the viewers listening today will probably disagree with that, because free will just seems such a thing. And even in scientific understanding, they'll even say, like, here's the voluntary actions of the body, and here are the involuntary actions of the body. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Moving like this are voluntary, but obviously metabolism and stuff, it seems to do it automatically. I'd say that even the voluntary actions, I think they just seem voluntary. I think they totally just seem
I agree. I think that's all an illusion itself.
I think it's an illusion. Completely. And it's super weird to like.
Which is weird, because sometimes I feel like I'm a slave to my desires, because I have a very obsessive personality. Mm-hmm. So I will just become. Maybe a slave isn't a good way to say, because there's a lot of pleasure that derives from it, that I get to gain from it. But on top of it, I don't know. It's just like, do I really have a choice right now? Like, this is what I want to do so badly. Mm-hmm. How much of a choice do I really have?
Right.
And I'm not saying I believe one thing or the other. I don't know. But I'm very, very open to the idea that free will is just an illusion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I read a book on it, actually, if you want to borrow it. It's Free Will by Sam Harris.
Oh, Sam Harris wrote that one. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a really short read. It's like a 70-page book or something like that.
Cool, yeah. What does he think?
I read it in like 2 days. He thinks it's complete bullshit.
He thinks it's an illusion too?
What he argues, is why I had to pull this up, because I didn't want to butcher it. I'm pretty sure this is the scan that he's referring to, but so it's an EEG scan.
Okay.
So how would you say that?
Electroencephalogram. Encephalogram or encephalogram? Probably one of those.
Is a test that detects electrical activity in your brain using small flat metal discs attached to your scalp. Your brain cells communicate via electrical impulses and are active at all the time, even when you're asleep.
For sure.
So what he uses as evidence against this for the rebuttal against free will, for his argument against free will, is that these EEG scanners can pick up your thoughts before you consciously say them.
I've heard something like
even as long as 10 seconds before.
Interesting. Yeah. See, it was some light layman reading, but like I feel like I've heard that something like they found that like when you have a voluntary action or whatever, voluntary action almost happens before the thought.
Yes.
Or whatever, even if it's like voluntary. So it's sort of just like, okay, well then why did you do it if you didn't think to do it? You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like things are just happening, and then thoughts are happening simultaneously, and give us this kind of like illusion that we're choosing things.
Absolutely.
But again, to all the viewers, I can't give you literally any specifics on what I'm talking about of when I talked about that study or whatever they were doing, or whether it was legitimate. Maybe it was some phony article and not a good scientific study at all. I don't know.
Right.
I would have to look at it again. But it doesn't change my view.
I like it because it sounds extremely counterintuitive, and it's hard for people to accept the possibility. So what we're doing is we're trying to look at it as objectively as we can with an open mind, that the possibility of free will being an illusion might actually exist. That might be real. That might be reality.
Sure. Yeah.
And people aren't willing to accept that. And I hate when people get closed off to ideas like that because
it doesn't mean you shouldn't like.
at least explore the
It doesn't
idea,
mean you
explore
shouldn't
the argument.
shouldn't do anything. Like it doesn't mean all right. Well, if we don't have any choice, I guess I'll just sit here and do nothing. It, it
But
doesn't
that was
mean
already
that.
predetermined, right?
Then that was already predetermined too. Yeah, exactly. But like, it doesn't mean that. I mean, still act, play with the illusion.
Absolutely.
You know? I mean, obviously.
And there's comfort knowing it's just an illusion.
It's so weird.
I listened to a TED Talk saying that we're basically hallucinating our entire reality.
I mean, yeah, that's technically accurate. Like I was saying, how things don't feel wet or like that. That's just our brain interpreting data. You know,
Right.
Nothing looks like anything. You know, it's just the senses picking it up and the brain interpreting it in a certain way.
Hey, Joe's here.
Oh, yeah, man.
Good.
And we're
Squad
getting
up.
into it.
Can I join?
Absolutely, dude.
Nice, nice.
Is there
Cool,
one
this-
that I can play?
Oh yeah, it's totally right here.
Cool.
Or you can just use this one if you want. That yours is longer actually.
Cool.
Question: can I charge my phone? Right now?
Oh yeah. Here, this one's open right
I'm
here.
on like 3% or something.
We got phone chargers for days, baby.
Yeah. Covered a lot of topics. We're talking about
Yeah, we're an hour and 15
definitions. We're
in.
talking about society, nature. We're talking about free will. We're
Nudity.
talking about nudity. We covered
Buddhism.
Buddhism a little bit. A
Buddhism.
wide range of topics.
We're just talking about free will. Did you already say free will?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just talking about that.
I'll just try and chime in where I can.
Hell yeah.
Actually, if you guys want to continue this conversation, I gotta go take a piss real quick.
Alright.
Cool. That worked out.
Kind of forgot where we left off. Really.
We were talking about the EEG scanners and how they can basically detect the electric waves in your mind, like the neurons firing a few seconds before. Usually it's like 0.6.
A few seconds before what the thought?
Before
or
the conscious thought arrives.
Before it arrives. Okay, yeah.
Wait, there's technology to figure out what someone's thinking before like it registers within the person.
I guess not the specific thought, not like
But
right.
But like the spark.
I want to say it's also an
Maybe.
fMRI scanner. I want to say that
Okay.
was some of the other technology.
Maybe. I would definitely have to really look into these studies to have a better understanding.
Yeah, I don't
of
really
it.
know, to be honest.
But like, yeah, and like I was saying, I remember reading, and again, I can't point at a specific study. I can't point at the validity of it, but I remember looking at it that like it was something like before a voluntary action, before the thought, or when you make a voluntary action, any voluntary movement or whatever, it like it almost happens before the thought comes. So that I mean that we got onto this track of conversation because we were talking about free will and if it's an illusion, and that would kind of support it.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
But you might have the free will to like wire yourself a certain way, and then from there your wires might act like without you maybe doing the thought, but like you might have the power to wire.
So you're talking
Okay.
about like, are you referring to affirmations? Like you affirm to your subconscious that
You kind of program yourself.
Yeah, I think
Is that what
maybe
mean?
you can program yourself, and then from there you might act like you might not know like at the time like what you're gonna do. So maybe you don't have free will, but like you do in a way because you programmed your mind to think.
Okay,
That way.
yeah, that's an alternative view for sure.
So maybe.
But were you predetermined to think?
To wire yourself that way. Is that what you
Yeah,
mean?
that one I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's what we were kind of getting into, but yeah, it's
Like, are your opinions on things, are they predetermined?
in my opinion, yes.
Because they shape who you are,
Yeah,
or where you define yourself.
But you can change your opinion.
for sure.
But were you predetermined to change that opinion?
We don't know. I don't know.
It's a sticky situation.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm kind of speaking out of ignorance. I've only read a little bit about it, only one book, and listened to like a podcast. So I really don't know much, but all I'm saying is that there have been some very good arguments refuting the evidence, and it backed with evidence.
Right.
Yeah, I think one of the big unknowns moving forward that's like right in front of us, I feel like the one thing we haven't really researched much is our own mind. And it's weird because it's in us. Like I feel like that's one of the biggest like mysteries is like what our brain can do.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
consciousness as itself.
Yeah, like that and space seem like the biggest like things right in front of our own eyes that we don't know
The
about.
two final frontiers.
Yeah, right. At least
Honestly,
that we know.
they both are. They
At
both are.
least-
Consciousness is.
Yeah.
The final frontier, or the beginning frontier,
Yeah.
or maybe the beginning and the final.
Because we haven't really. I think I could. this will be some prophecy for this recorder. I could see us getting to a point where maybe we could even like do telepathy.
Oh yeah,
Like we just know so little about our mind that like I'm
so
sure
little.
once we figure that one out, it would be possible to communicate without talking.
I believe telepathy is a very real.
I think it could be
possibility.
legitimate. Yeah, no doubt.
What type of timetable do we think that's possible with?
I mean, if we're talking like that kind of stuff,
Are we talking in our lifetime?
I don't think in our lifetime. I mean, I'm not saying it hasn't been observed. You know, maybe some
Do you
individuals.
think artificial intelligence or any form of computer, any form of like computer type technology can get us there?
Yes.
You think that's what's going to get us there?
Ooh.
I think I think so. I think and maybe we will figure out like a way to do it. Maybe in some later branch of evolution of the species that we branch off to, if Homo sapiens stick around for long enough to even get to a point where they can evolve to what we would call a different species, maybe in some distant, year, we will have the biological capabilities to perform telepathic actions and that kind of stuff. But I think in our circumstance, I think it would probably be a technological discovery. Or it would be discovered along with technology.
I think so too.
Just because that we're all about that shit.
But I didn't read the article, but I saw something posted the other day about how they're putting something inside, like implanting in your mind, and it can help your memory, which would be insane.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
That's
For
what
sure.
if I got anything implanted in my mind, I think it'd be towards
Yeah.
memory. Unless if they could somehow do something with creativity, like enhances creativity, that'd be insane too.
Right. I mean, I think it is all possible. And I think the system we're working with, like right here, like, I mean, my view of how everything's like the same shit or whatever, but I think technology, we could get away to where we can kind of almost mimic a lot of the things of the brain. Maybe we can improve our memory storage capacity in the brain, because the brain to me just seems like a biological computer.
Yeah, it's like a natural computer.
For sure. And it's funny that you're talking about wiring the mind or programming it, because that's an idea that I've liked for a while. I've actually haven't picked it up in a while, but I was reading into if you know who John Lilly is, he was credited with inventing and popularizing the sensory deprivation tank.
Really?
He's a wacky dude. I'll give you that. He's into drugs, whatever. But he's very intelligent.
Okay.
And
Like
anyway,
Dennis McKenna or Terrence McKenna.
very
type deal?
Terrence McKenna type of dealio.
Okay.
On the same level of wackiness.
Really?
I'd say so. Even though how he conducts himself sounds less wacky, because Terrence McKenna's got this voice that's just like, well, the modulator of reality, and he kind of talks like that. The archaic revival is among us, But so he has a little bit more. But yeah, he has this book called it's either Programming and Metaprogramming or Metaprogramming and Programming the Human Biocomputer. And I think he might have even been credited to coining the term biocomputer, and he's referring to the brain and the human brain-body system. And he talks about all of our behaviors as like programs, and you can like metaprogram, which is basically programs that the brains have to rewire the brain, kind of like what you were talking about, or rewire different behaviors and tendencies and how you think and whatnot. And he worked a lot. That's why he developed the sensory deprivation tank, to kind of like get into that kind of idea.
I think the best way to rewire your mind would be through introspective thinking, or something like meditation through the sensory deprivation tank.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go further into sensory deprivation tank? Because I don't really know much about that.
So a sensory deprivation tank, or like a float tank, is just a dealio where I think there might be one in Springfield even.
There is.
Water tank thing?
Yes.
I've done that actually.
You've done a set? Really?
Yeah.
What was it? How
With
long
the Epsom salt?
Yeah, it was an hour.
How long of a 1 hour float? Was it in Springfield, the one that you did?
It was in Kansas City.
How was it?
Like one of these?
It was really cool. Yeah, it didn't
Similar.
look but that was the idea. They like close you in on it, and then my mom, she does a yoga instructor, and part of her membership is that.
Nice.
So she let me use it.
Cool.
I feel like it was the most like I don't know. I feel like it could be compared to like tripping, but naturally. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like it's like
Like a lot of people
trying to-
report out-of-body experiences with it and stuff like that.
I feel like it's
Out of body
trying-
experiences, really.
Oh, absolutely. That's very common with the sensory deprivation tank.
I feel like it's the best way to get inside your own head without using like substance. You know what I mean?
Maybe,
Yeah.
Okay, because it's a form of meditation.
Yeah, like it was like I've tried to meditate with you and whatnot. Like I've like personally meditated, and I think that the deprivation tank was the best form of meditation I've ever had.
For sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's expensive to go and float. Otherwise, I've been wanting to experiment with it. And
I wanna try it
I would
too.
do all sorts of different experiments with it. I would want to do I would try an hour float. I would try an hour and a half. It'd be really cool if I did something like a 4-hour.
It'd be crazy.
Like I feel like a 4-hour float, I would completely forget who I am. I think it would be
Yeah.
awesome. You would probably, because the idea is you're floating in darkness and you have the Epsom salt in the water,
float.
and so you kind of
just relaxing your
lose
muscles.
sensation
too.
of your body, and you kind of just feel like maybe like a naked mind, embodiedless mind.
Yeah.
Kinda
And
just
you're
like
not feeling
floating.
you detach from your body, kind of.
For sure. And I
That
think
makes sense how you would have an out of body experience.
definitely. But yeah, this John C. Lilly guy, you just look up a picture so you can see what kind of dude he looks like. But yeah, he invented one of these things, and his whole point was to like help him try to reprogram the mind and stuff like that. So that's him.
Wow.
That's the guy.
I love that.
So here's a quote: "In the province of the mind, what one believes to be true either is true or becomes true within certain limits. These limits are to be found experimentally and experientially. When so found, these limits turn out to be further beliefs to be transcended. In the province of the mind," this last part is one of his, like, a quote he's known for. "In the province of the mind, there are no limits." But then he always says, like, if you hear interviews with him, he's just like, the province of the mind, there's no limits, but the province of the body, there are definitely limits.
The body dies, but you could argue whatever the mind or whatever spiritual side will live forever.
Right on, yeah. There's definitely different arguments you can go with that, but yeah. So that's that dude, and he's got a lot of really interesting books. He was really interested in telepathy, actually, since we were talking about that,
shit, really?
and trying to communicate with other intelligent species. Dolphins was his specialty. He tried to communicate with them. He tried to experiment with using like different psychoactive compounds with the dolphins and in the sensory deprivation tanks. Like he was really into that.
Do you ever get like a combo of the two, go in a sensory deprivation tank with a dolphin?
I don't know about that. I don't think that, but like
That'd be wild.
that'd be interesting though. But yeah, so that was his kind of dealio. He was really into interspecies communication and
That's
stuff like that.
interesting.
And he saw dolphins as and when I started looking into him, I started looking more into dolphins, and like they have really interesting brains. They have really interesting forms of communication. They have some sort of like, I forgot the word, maybe like almost like a multi-stereo communication system where they can make clicking two different types of sounds at the same time or something. I don't remember. It was a while ago since I was reading it. That was like a more complex way of like talking than humans, was like some of the arguments about it. And stuff
No
like that.
way.
Like bats in a way, or do bats have a higher level of communication?
They use sonar.
I don't know. Yeah, they use
Oh,
sonar,
okay, that's- yeah,
but
sonar.
yeah, it's weird when you say higher. I guess different,
Yeah.
but it's complex
It's just a different
in
branch
some
of
ways.
evolution.
Right.
That's so interesting.
And like we were talking about Joe Rogan or whatever. Have you seen his
His stand-up? Yeah.
He talks about the dolphins
I love that part.
moving around or whatever.
He's like, so I was high as fuck. I was on an edible, and I'm staring down face to face with this dolphin.
These water people
Yeah,
talking
these
to
water
water people. And he was talking about it's just like he looked at me like a person would look at me, like these guys are smart. And I like how he said that, and it's just like, oh yeah, and he talked about like, and they don't wear clothes, they don't have jobs like people, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they completely lack intelligence, but they don't need all that. He says they're underwater, they have all their food, they go to where the water's warm, whatever. They have everything they need in there. They don't need buildings. You know what I'm saying?
It's a metaphor for us.
Yeah,
Maybe
you
we
could
should
argue
look
we
closer
don't
to
need
that.
any of that either.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
So he's just like, it's just a different type of intelligence. So yeah, it's interesting to think about. But
Maybe in a weird way they're more intelligent because we hold ourselves back with like trying to build up stuff that like,
We need
picture
all
probably
this- right.
Yeah.
I admire the simplicity behind that.
Yeah. it's kind of like early Native Americans. As far as human beings go, they kind of had like the most natural sense of like we don't need excess at all. Like we can literally just live off of the most basics, and we can treat it the best way possible.
It's interesting you say that, and like when you think about it, like who has it better? When you think of like the Native Americans, or like modern society, it's interesting because you kind of want to, when you say better, you kind of want to be like, all right, who is mentally suffering more on average as a whole?
Yeah.
I don't really know. There's a lot of depression in society. There's a lot of shit. Obviously, we have better medicines. We can heal people better on a physical basis. Okay. But like, I don't know. I haven't spent any time living among native tribes. Maybe they're all pretty satisfied. I don't know. Maybe they on average, maybe they're more happy in their culture than modern society today. I don't know. So I can't say.
I would argue
I can't say either way.
I don't have very much backing, but I think once your fundamental human needs are kind of met, there isn't too much happiness past like because what would you argue for the material part, like the more advanced society? Like the material are going to make them happier, the money, the luxury.
Mm-hmm. You could maybe be like watching the developments of people as in like if you look at Maslow's hierarchy, that's one of my favorite like things to look at. The Indians at that point, they pretty much had like, you know, besides like a wild buffalo running through their tribe and like, you know, destroying them or something wild. Mm-hmm. I guess they fought within themselves. Like they had like the basics of like food, shelter, water, love, all that. So if you think Maslow's hierarchy is like the natural like development of like what a human wants to achieve, the next step is I need to like pull it up and look at it, but the next step I'm pretty sure is like it might be like personal success.
Success.
It's something like that. So like if you look at like humans like developing, the next step after like that
esteem
would be like, yeah, we could be trying to fill our esteem needs right now with trying to like acquire so much like wealth and material.
But they're satisfying those needs on an instinctual level. Like they're hunter. Like are you referring to hunter gathering?
I kind of was then of of those kind of native tribes, I guess. But and I don't know, maybe the relative stress level I've also considered, maybe it's the same. Maybe they have their problems and we got our problems, and maybe like none is actually really better.
Yeah.
And it's just what you're accustomed to, you know? So it's weird to think about things like that.
Because I would definitely say that if somebody from modern civilization went and lived a hunter-gatherer lifestyle, they're probably not going to be fully satisfied. They're probably not going to be very happy.
No,
but if you grew up and you were conditioned in that lifestyle,
then it would be exactly how you're conditioned in this lifestyle.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So
you set your own bar. Mm-hmm. So like if you're raised where like you only need to eat like, you know, a minimal amount and whatever, that's what you're used to. Mm-hmm. It's just like now we've gotten to the point where we expect more.
Right.
But maybe we need to like have all this like excess to realize we don't need it. So maybe we need to beat the esteem level to then next would be self-actualization. Once we get over the esteem, part of our self-actualization would be to realize we don't need all that dumb stuff to feed our own esteem.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's kind of like, there's a rapper I like named J. Cole. Shout out to you, J. Cole. And he basically like got rich, and once he always wanted money, he got rich, and once he got it, he realized that like none of this stuff matters. Mm-hmm. So then now he sold his car, he rides a bike, like.
No way.
Yeah. He lives in New York just on his bike.
No shit.
According to the last interview, I've heard of him. Like, there's a chance he's since bought one, but as of like a year ago, he doesn't even.
Just minimalizing your life.
Right.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
He said basically the only things that truly matter, like relationships and like your interactions with people, because like money will come and go and all that. So
for sure.
The sense of community.
Yeah.
Well, that's the strongest correlation between happiness.
Right.
Is that yeah.
Yeah, why do we have stockbrokers jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge, but we have like homeless people living in San Fran happy? Right? It's kind of like what actually matters to a certain degree.
Perspective.
For sure. Weird to think about.
Yeah.
I think it's cool whenever people go down that route, you kind of realize it's not the way. and then they go to like the simplicity of life, and then start enjoying the little things.
You mean go down like a stockbroker route, for instance?
Yeah.
Just as like a very specific example.
Climb like the corporate ladder, and then realizing
And then realize like I don't want any of this stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'd be happier just chilling in the park.
Yeah, exactly.
Why am I in this desk?
Well, there's got to be some respect and admiration thrown to somebody like that. I hate whenever people like just talk shit on that, because there's no need for it. Because they were honest with themselves enough to realize that that's not going to make them happy, instead of just accepting what's not making them happy and then living a life of misery.
For sure.
Yeah, it's probably more admirable for the people who don't care about money than that do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, at least where I am right now, 20 years old, I understand why people value money.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I want money.
Right.
Me too.
Why are you in college? You know, like you probably
True.
desire
If
money.
you didn't value money at all, there's really no reason to go to go to college. I guess if it's the knowledge you crave, you can get it alternatively.
But realistically, how many people are curious enough to like just be craving this knowledge here?
To go to college over it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like nobody.
If you really
Themselves
wanted
in
to,
that much debt.
yeah, if you really wanted to drop out and just read all the textbooks in the library here, like, you'd probably learn more.
It'd be easy. Yeah, I am kind of with you at that, but you don't get that piece of paper that allows you to get money easier.
Right. That's what
True.
It's fucked.
That piece of paper that allows you to get money easier.
It's the only reason I'm doing it.
To get you pay paper to get a piece of paper to make paper.
Mm-hmm.
And one
It's a good way to do it.
Yeah, and one day the fact we back our money on paper might be completely irrelevant because it is on paper. It's all pointless.
True.
Yeah.
Spend paper
Seems the
to
way
get a
the world's
paper
heading.
to make more paper.
Would you
Yeah.
guys get the like microchip in you that carried currency with it, so it's like your wallet? If that was an option, would you get it?
No. I
If
would
that,
feel. Part of me would feel opposed.
Okay.
But I'm just stubborn, you know. Like maybe I don't know why that'd be an issue. It's just it does make more sense. I mean, if I don't want to use it, I don't have to use it. You know what I'm saying? But part of me would be like, oh well, I don't want that in me. If I want to go out in nature, I don't want to have my wallet built into me or whatever. But again, that's me being stubborn. I don't really see an issue with having that. It seems like it makes more sense. To be quite honest with you, it seems like it honestly makes more sense. But
yeah.
as long as there's no negative effects to put in, I don't know why there would be. It's just a microchip.
Yeah. As long as like you have full control over the chip, no one out there is like can track you with it. If it's truly just your bankroll, like that's in essence what like Bitcoin is, or like cryptocurrencies are to your phone. It's like you're just walking around with like your anonymous bank account.
That'd probably be the currency that would be used, or it could be. It'd be an option. It'd be an option.
Right.
That's why paper's going downhill.
Paper's going downhill.
Yeah, could be on the crypto.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's a world full of possibilities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Have you guys seen that movie? It's either called Time or In Time. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Justin Timberlake?
Maybe. Yeah, I think so.
He's the
Where
man.
they're like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I can't remember,
concept.
but is the
I do too,
idea
I
they
do too.
they pay in lives of their life? Is that what it is? Right.
Basically, like
And
time.
they can transfer it over, and then that's their money system, or they can like gamble or whatever. And you see it.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that, but that's what it kind of made me think of, the microchip idea.
There's kind of some correlation between the obsession that human beings hold with immortality with that movie as well, because the wealthy, the elites in the movie, can just generate all of that time and take all that time and just have it built up. But that's weird to think about, because the scarcity of time means that there's an inevitable death, and the rich people in that movie are willing to kill for personal gain. Which that's kind of interesting to think about.
Right.
Well, I assume there's like if that's like in that world, I assume there's still an X amount of time. So ultimately, if that were the game, let's say there were no babies, like no new life, and there's just like an X amount of time, you can't like create more life.
Okay.
Do you think it would inevitably just become like one person with all the time? Like it could take thousands of years, but like eventually it's one person.
They
Yeah,
should
if
they
that-
should make a time in
You know what I
time
mean?
too
If that person,
about that concept.
Where they fight over it.
There's 2 people left and they all got like a bunch of years and just like, I gotta do it to you, brother. Like puts him asleep and then like takes all of his life and he's like, you got 1 year.
Yeah.
I'm leaving you strapped here, but the door will unlock
and then he realizes he's
in a
just
couple
lonely.
days. I'm out of here. And
He's just
like,
the last person on earth. He's just like, fuck.
Right, because inevitably, if you got all the time in the world, there'd be no one else.
Yeah.
and he gets sad, he offs himself, and he's like, I made a mistake.
My bad, bro.
Let's
My bad.
submit the script. Let's do it.
New movie ideas.
In time 2.
Content, baby.
It'll be Timberlake.
All right, now I'm taking that
Timberlake
piss.
Go for
That was probably 30 minutes ago. I said that too.
it. Yeah, you did well. You held it
Oh,
in.
yeah.
He hit me up with this Mio energy stuff, and I've never. I mean, I think I've used Mio before. I don't think I've used an energy thing. Do they just sell flavors too, like water flavors?
I really don't know. I'm not, like, to me, I think I've used that just to get some flavor on my water. I've never really, same with 5 Hour Energy. Have you ever dabbled with any of those, like, boosters, so to speak?
I have. I'm not a huge fan of them.
Yeah, what do you think? Like, bullshit hoopla?
Honestly, I mean, no. I mean, it gives you energy, no doubt. I don't think it's hoopla, but I do think I crash hard.
Right.
And honestly, the same thing with like the energy drinks, like the Red Bulls and Monsters. I'm not a huge fan of those either, but I'm not super into the feeling of being like real, like kind of stimmed out. I do like coffee every once in a while. Like I'm kind of stimulated now from squirted like 1.5 of these in there.
Yeah.
Like if I won't go over 2 cups of coffee because I don't like the uncomfortable sensations of being too stimulated.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy a little bit of like I like soda for that reason and whatnot. But but I think the Monsters and the 5 Hour Energies, they're just a little too much for me, I think. But so I don't really use them.
Yeah.
But do you like them? I mean, I know a lot of people that really like them.
Yeah, I have a Vyvanse prescription, so that's basically like a
An
stimulant.
Adderall kind of deal.
Yeah, like out the wazoo. Like I think everything you can do with stuff like that, kind of like how what was his name that we just pulled up, the crazy dude with the hair.
John C. Lilly.
Yeah, it's like everything is possible within their own mind. Like you don't really need any of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like if you can make peace with it, that like you can't like. If you limit yourself and like think you need it per se, then like it'll help.
Right.
But like I do think all things are possible.
Definitely.
Within, like let's say do we have a number on what % of the mind we can access?
See, that's such a weird thing because you often hear it's a false statistic, but you'll hear people be like, you only use 10% of the brain or whatever, and then that idea of like the movie Limitless or whatever, where they take that pill and they're like, this lets you use all of it.
Yeah.
Like if you look stuff about that, that's heavily inaccurate. You use all of your brain, you just use all of it at different times in different ways, stuff like that. So it's kind of like it's almost like an invalid question saying how much % of the mind do you use.
How about at one time, what's the highest % do you think, or has there been a study?
I honestly don't. I don't know how to
quantify it.
I don't know how to quantify a thing like that. Like I feel like I use. Not that I tap into all the different parts at the same time. I don't. And I think even if you did, it wouldn't make sense. I think the brain has to work in a certain way. Mm-hmm. Some parts have to be working while others are more quieted down, and then vice versa. I don't think you could just.
Right.
I mean, wouldn't you just have a seizure? Like if all your neurons were just going ham? That makes no sense. So it kind of seems like an invalid question, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I think we can definitely use our brains more efficiently. I think that there's memories that maybe we've lost access to that we could regain access to. Stuff like that. Like I have a buddy who's had a series of a lot of concussions or whatever. He said there's like chunks of his memory that are just gone that he feel like he used to have, and he like feel like I should remember all that, but I don't when people explain to him things. But then he says sometimes he's like, in certain states of mind, I feel like almost like all of a sudden I open something up where those memories are accessed again. And he'll talk about that, and he's just like weird old feelings and nostalgia and just memories that I completely forgot I had but seem so familiar to me, and like he'll say things like that. So yeah, I think there's like different parts that like maybe we don't have as much access to that we could have, but like I don't think that's Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird putting like some sort of quantifying measure on it. But
what do you think, like, the earliest, like, do you ever have those memories where you're just like, there's no way I should actually remember that? It's like maybe you're like
Kind of.
5 years old and you're just like, it's like something random. You're just like, how can I even, like,
Yes.
it's almost too young to access.
I do have some of those.
It's weird to think that
Is there anything
things.
you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, it's very non-specific, and it's not fully defined, it's very vague,
But still.
it's not vivid, but like, I can remember, I feel like I was just so small, like I call it my earliest memory, but I don't know what my earliest memory would actually be, but I can kind of remember being carried, like, in church, I guess, like, as a little kid, just being carried down the pew or whatever, and that's literally all that's there. Like, that's
baptized?
what I don't know. I don't think to be baptized.
Like baptism.
I just remember just being in church, and I don't know when this was, but that's the only thing that's one of the things that mainly comes up when you ask me, like, do you ever feel like there's memories you're like, how can I remember that? I feel like I was so young then.
Especially whenever you're young and they're extremely minuscule events in your life that you're like,
Yeah.
like, what's the significance? Why is this a memorable thing
Right,
in my
but
mind?
I remember it, and like I said, that's the level of vividness I have. I described the full situation.
Yeah.
I mean, there's colors and stuff I could give you, but like of events, that's it. What about you? Do you have one you want to share?
I have one really random one of, like, I don't know how old I was, maybe 6 or 7, where I was definitely, I was with my mom in the car, and I forget the name of these two songs, but it was on an album way back that my parents knew, and the songs were back-to-back on the album, and I want to say it was like Angels in the City. I forget the name of the song. I could probably figure it out if I start looking, but it was my mom was like, we were listening to the first one, mom's like, I bet they play this next one right after, and they did. And I was like right outside this like old library that I went to before the Plaza developed their new one.
Oh,
And it was just like, and that was randomly, like, I don't know why I remember that.
interesting. Yeah.
But because you brought up that church one, I don't think I'm bullshitting myself right now, but like, there's an off chance I can access a little bit of
Your baptism.
my baptism.
Yeah, interesting.
Were
yeah.
you like an infant?
I'm pretty sure I was pretty damn young.
And it's weird, like how you said, I don't know if I'm bullshitting or not. It's a lot of times it's hard to tell with a lot of early memories.
Right.
Like, you don't know what you manifested in your mind, and then that got solidified somehow, and then you think it's a memory. You know, it's hard. So like, I don't know about a lot of those, but
Because I feel like you could easily like sell yourself on the idea of like a hospital room scene of you being born
right,
per se.
for sure.
But there's just no, there's no way that you can actually remember that.
Yeah, that'd be
Right?
crazy.
That'd be my example of like bullshit in
You're
memory.
coming right at it. I remember when I was in the womb. Dude. I remember when I was getting the nutrients. It was awesome.
All black, real vivid.
It was super good. It was super good.
Man, I was swimming in placenta.
Oh my gosh, it was
I
awesome.
was swimming in that shit, son.
I didn't have a conceptual mind yet. It was all abstract, but like I remember how it felt, man.
I wonder if there's any correlation of like those early memories, the fact that they're related with the not necessarily church, but like religion and all that. Like
Possibly. I don't know.
maybe like the spiritual. It's like
Side of it.
Yeah, if there's something up there,
Nice.
they want you to hold on to it.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That would be very
So that
interesting.
memory you had with your mom predicting the next song, was that your first time you ever realized your mom's a fortune teller?
That's when I realized my mom knows every single song like before 1990. She would literally just sing 101 The Fox and can't sing. She can sing every song.
That's cool. I like seeing what makes people like excited, you know, like or like what people enjoy. Like whenever you surround them by their interests, they like that's probably more like free side of your mom, you know.
Mm-hmm. She'd always just turn the volume up really loud and say, I'm turning it up so you don't hear my singing. And she'd just
That's gonna be you in a few years with Kanye.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to you, Kanye. One love. I love Kanye.
I think Kanye and J. Cole are gonna be listening to this.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
They'll be like, yeah, man, we got a shout out.
Joe Ernst fucks with me.
They get all flattered.
Yeah.
They start blushing.
Didn't know I touched anyone out there. Glad I have a fan.
So I was thinking about this upstairs whenever I was making this amazing bowl of oatmeal, and so there's the duality of humility and confidence, right? I think a lot of people struggle with one of those more so than the other, and there's kind of a correlation between the duality of genders, of femininity and masculinity. I would say that typically men struggle with humility and women struggle with confidence.
Wow.
Interesting.
Isn't that weird how there's a correlation between the duality of each topic?
And could this and probably the way I've never actually thought about that specifically, but could this be the nature of the behavior of how testosterone and estrogen play into that? You know what I'm saying? Is testosterone just inherently more of kind of like more aggressive and
out there,
right? And is but again, I don't even know what I think about the premise of that statement. I would have to really, really debate it and like talk to a lot of people, I think. But like, I see what you're saying though. Like, at least at first glance, it does kind of seem that way.
I'm speaking as generally as possible. Obviously,
totally general.
It's gonna come down to the individual and whatnot, but
100%.
Generally speaking.
Interesting.
Like you wouldn't want to group every single male or female in either one.
Totally
of the
not. That'd be a hasty generalization.
But at the same time, yeah, it's kind of like the whole yin and yang and like reoccurring like perfect balance. Mm-hmm. Have you guys read Be Here Now?
I love that book, and I have it for sure. It's in my sacred books little stack. Yeah, Be Here Now is great. Good way to look at perennial philosophy, which is like all religions talk about the same shit, and then also try to kind of understand Eastern philosophy for those who might not for those who can't get past the metaphorical symbolism of Hindu gods with 9 faces and stuff like that. And it's a good book to read to kind of be like, oh, so like all of those are just different metaphors for how this works and stuff like that. And it talks a lot about that, and there's different ways to think about it all, I guess. But yeah, it's a great book.
It opened my eyes to a lot of things as well.
Have you read it?
Yeah, I read it. I borrowed it from Joe, who borrowed it from somebody else.
Yeah, Dr. Richard Alpert, now Ram Dass. He's a very interesting fellow. I've studied him a lot.
Duncan Trussell, he like hangs out with him, right?
He went to a retreat that he held because he works for he doesn't work, I mean, I guess, but he was, I think it's the Hanuman Center. Hanuman is a Hindu deity that he kind of like gave himself to, kind of, because his guru, who was he met in he went over to the east in India, I guess. His guru Maharaji, he was
I love these days.
yeah, Maharaji's cool. He's apparently pretty cool guy. Like, obviously there's a lot of like charlatans and a lot of like imposter gurus or whatever. He's kind of known as one that was one pure dude.
Respect.
And Maharaji was like kind of a devotee to the Hanuman tradition, because so many different Hindu traditions give like devotion. I mean, there's Hinduism is such a dumb branching term because there's so many different forms that can't even really.
Just like we were saying earlier,
it's not a religion. Yeah.
I bet every single individual person sees their own religion differently.
100%.
Like, there's no way everyone.
100%.
Like, there's no way. Like, I bet there's not even 2 Catholics that view Catholic the exact perfect to the point.
I agree completely. I think everyone has a slightly different view of it. But yeah, so his deal. Do you know his story at all, Richard Alpert?
I do not know.
It's really interesting. He kind of was in the '60s countercultural movement. He was kind of friends with like Timothy Leary and dudes like that.
I've heard that name before, but I'm not familiar with who he is either.
Yeah, he got really interested into. He went to Harvard, and I forgot exactly what he studied, but it was legitimate and intelligent and whatever, and very scientifically minded dude. Might have been like psychology or something.
That's what I was thinking.
And but he got he got interested into psychoactive compounds, the psychedelic compounds that arose in that time, and he began to see things differently or whatever. And then he ended up going overseas and seeing what was up with
or whatever, the teacher.
Yeah, the teachers and
Wait, where overseas?
India, yeah, and the story of when he met Maharaji is interesting because he talks about like he's like Maharaj. We went up to meet him, whoever he was traveling with, and Maharaji was the guru. He's the face of God himself, and like all this stuff, and he wasn't buying any of it because his Western scientific mind, and when he first met him, all these people are like bowing down to him and kissing his feet, and he like wouldn't do it. He wouldn't bow down, and then apparently Maharaji I don't know, he like told him what was up. Like he told him exactly what he was doing. A couple nights ago, he was like thinking about his mother or something like that who died, and Maharaji was saying like, yeah, you were thinking about your mother. Back to this telepathy conversation,
right?
And he was like, you're thinking about your mother or whatever. And at that moment, he did the same thing. He like bowed down or kissed his feet or whatever. And then he basically became a disciple of this Maharaji guy and completely switched up his paradigm of reality and kind of became very into meditation and yoga and basically followed around this Maharaji guy. And yeah, he saw him as
he was a skeptic at first. And then
he was a total skeptic at first. And then he was just like, wow, this guy is super enlightened.
I guess
this
if you
guy
think
gets
about
it.
Like the best followers you could get are the people that are going to kind of resist it at first, then you convince them otherwise. Mm-hmm. I feel like because then you establish that trust wherever they had like a prevention focus going in on it, that they're the same energy they kind of came at you with the skepticism is going to just be converted back into loyalty almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, he has a really interesting story. You should totally look into him.
And he's the author of Be Here Now.
Yeah, he is the author of Be Here Now, and it's written in 3 parts. Did you read the whole thing, or just like
I did not read the
flip
first.
through it?
I read the entire second.
Second is like the passages.
I want to say I read the whole third as well.
Got you. Yeah.
No, the third's about dieting, right? Like
the third is he calls it the sacred cookbook a cookbook for a sacred life.
Okay.
And it's about like, here's how to get clean, here's how to get pure, here's how to have a pure mind and see things as they really are.
Wow.
And it's all these methods. He talks about yoga postures, he talks about mantras, he talks about meditation techniques, he talks about eating habits.
Are you familiar with any mantras, or do you do any personally?
Yes.
Do you do the beads whenever you do them?
Not all the time, but I do have a set of Bodhi seed beads, actually.
I've never seen those before.
Bodhi tree is said to be the tree that Siddhartha Gautama, which is known as like the Buddha of our time or whatever, that's where he fully realized enlightenment or fully realized nirvana.
Okay, is he still alive to this day?
Siddhartha Gautama?
Yeah.
The Buddha? No. He's been dead a long time.
Okay, wait, what do you mean of our day then?
Well, the term Buddha, in Buddhist philosophy, there's a lot of Buddhas.
So is it like a type of thing that gets passed down like the Pope?
No. So basically, when we talk about when we say, the Buddha...
Is it like a certain point of enlightenment?
Buddha refers to a being that has completely overcome all mental fetters and completely rid themselves of all clinging and attachment and no longer suffers and will not return to the cycle of life and birth.
Suffering from what?
Just suffering in general. He literally eliminated all suffering. And that's what a Buddha is. So
is a Buddha, in essence, an enlightened
being, a fully enlightened being. Yeah, there's different levels of awakening. So there's I
don't want to, before you get into the different levels, I have known, I am 100% convinced, and this might come off conceited, but I have raised my level of consciousness. My state of consciousness has been heightened since just in the past few years, and partially through books and a lot of introspective thinking, but I can just more so than anything, just the desire to improve as a person and be the best version of me I can possibly be. And I think that is really, I think I've gotten a lot more enlightened in the process, because I have a lot more mental clarity as I carry on about my daily life than I used to.
For sure.
And a lot less clutter in my brain, and I don't know. I just and I'm more at peace with myself, a lot more confident with who I am.
Well, that's good. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, in that sense, conventionally speaking, enlightenment's a weird word.
I'm definitely not enlightened by any but I'm more enlightened and I've seen improvement.
Right.
That's
yeah.
what I'm trying to point out.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, like when we say like Siddhartha Gautama is the guy that most people talk about when they're like, yeah, remember the Buddha said that or whatever. Most people say when they say the Buddha, they're talking about Siddhartha Gautama because he kind of was the dude who founded Buddhism. Is a dumb way to think about it because he didn't make a religion. People made a religion out of him.
Really?
I mean, yeah, same thing with Jesus. Jesus didn't make a religion. He just did stuff, and then people wrote a book about it. Wow. And then Christianity was born. I mean, it wasn't even originally that. Gnosticism and all this other stuff. But
let's talk about the real MVP, L. Ron Hubbard. No, I'm just
But yeah, but actually, like in reality, there's multiple Buddhas, is what they would say, and depending on which tradition you ask, like they'll say that like your mind is actually the Buddha, and like depending on who you ask, there's all sorts of different traditions. But like standard view is, a Buddha is someone who has reached enlightenment, full total enlightenment, and can never be unenlightened. Like they can
never be unenlightened, really.
Yeah, because I mean they got rid of all the mental fetters. There's no more footing for any delusion or ignorance to take hold in the mind. So then it's sort of like Nirvana is supposed to be like a thing that's like you completely dissolve. Like it's all good.
I feel like I've had bits and pieces, like very, very small bits and pieces.
Little glimpses
of Nirvana, and it seems the divine seems to come and go. Mm-hmm. It seems like sand through your fingers. Like it it slips through, and it's
those
very temporary.
Those would be more of just like insights and like higher state experiences is what they're describing.
This might sound a little out there for anybody who's not into like meditation.
Or this probably sounds super crazy. This probably sounds like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Yeah. It's just I've
well, even a year ago, dude, I'd be like I'd be delayed on how much I'm taking in right now.
Right.
Versus, because my frame of reference has been enhanced. So I get what you're saying now.
Yeah, true, because a lot of the viewers, they probably don't even, like, he's like, mental fetters? What is he?
Yeah, right.
I'm using terms that, like, only people, like, who we've had conversations similar to this before, and, like, other people would be familiar with those terms.
Right,
Yeah, true. I guess if you don't have any understanding of Eastern philosophy at all, then, this probably sounds like you
cuckoo.
have no idea what's being said here.
But to elaborate on that, I swear I've gone into deep meditative states and come out with like truth, like almost like an eternal truth. Throughout the experience, and I
sure
more so like an
would
epiphany.
Would you say it's just like an insight that you had that now you can't like unsee? Even though you may not be directly experiencing that insight, but you had it, and you're just like, well, I saw reality that way, and that's like how it was, so it's an eternal truth. That kind of mean what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like an eternal epiphany, like it just a very intense realization, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's legitimate.
But it's like, it's weird too, because it's almost like I go to the Gap and just kind of get your head space and free yourself of thoughts temporarily, and I'm not thinking, but then out of nowhere, like these thoughts just arise, and it becomes the truth. I don't know how to describe it. It's only happening like once or twice.
Right,
it's very bizarre, but I don't know if it
felt very revelatory, very like
kind of
liberating too, weight off your shoulders. Yeah, no doubt. Cool stuff. But that would be another thing. Like you were saying, like, people that are listening to this, they might not know any of these kinds of lingo and terminology or whatnot. That would definitely be something, like you were saying, this whole podcast experiment is like a learning experience. Be like, oh yeah, that's right. We're having our conversation here and forgetting that there's so many other viewers out there that like we need to have a context
Right.
where they understand. You know what I'm saying? So
More than anything,
I guess I'll take that more into consideration when.
Well,
when
more
I
than
talk
anything,
about
I'd
this
rather
kind of
just
stuff.
talk about whatever we want to talk about. And whoever likes it, likes it.
True, and whoever you can take it or leave it. You know, it's up to the viewer. Good point. Good point. It's not like a class.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no tests that we're gonna give them and be like, "Well, I didn't understand the material."
Yeah, if they want to take this, if they find this as valuable information or valuable content that what we're saying,
For sure.
If they find it interesting, intriguing, they can listen. If they want to click pause or just
or throw their computer out the window. That's your dealio. But
yeah, we encourage that actually.
Yeah, we were talking about. We started kind of getting into the specifics of like Buddhist terminology or whatever, and then he like mentioned he's just like, yeah, a lot of our viewers though probably. I mean, they probably don't. Like, we've had these conversations before, so we kind of know what each other are talking about, but a lot of the viewers are probably like... And so we kind of talked about... So, yeah, I said, yeah, perhaps we should make sure we stay in a context that most people would understand. But then he said, well, yeah, but we're not trying to sell anything here. You know, we're not teaching a class. We should just talk about what we want to talk about, and then people can take it or leave it.
and if this inspires like one person to go out and study Buddhism, like sweet. You know, that means
or anything that we're talking about.
That means we got through
anything that we're talking about.
Yeah. Not even necessarily we're pushing. I don't even know what religion I am for the record. Like,
Right,
you know,
for sure.
Like if
I'm no religion. No religion is me.
Yeah, I guess, right? The principal religion. Yeah, if any topic, you know, we talk about makes someone want to look into it more, than like, at least to me, I accomplished like something. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Because like these thought-provoking questions and like our answers to and our opinions, like they can inspire creativity, or not creativity, curiosity. Mm-hmm. And then that curiosity is going to drive them to go figure out more. And you're right, yeah, it can shape, we could be potentially shaping the youth of America.
True.
No, I'm with you. If this gets through to if this makes anyone want to go like look into something, that's awesome.
Yeah, cool.
I would love to be a source of inspiration. Like
Source of
three of us
inspiration?
right here are creating a source of inspiration.
Or even if it's
Potential.
just, morning coffee entertainment before work in the morning. That's cool too, where they're just like, cool, I got my mind turning a little bit before I go and sit in my desk for
Maybe
9 to
listening
5.
on their way to work.
On their way to work, yeah, exactly.
On their way to the gym, at the gym.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. My favorite time to listen to podcasts is on a long car ride.
Long car ride?
That's where I'm the most attentive, yeah.
True, because there's not much happening. There's just a road, so you're like, gotta have something going on in here.
Absolutely. And music gets old pretty quick for me, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like music, but, like, I'm talking, like, a 3-4 hour car ride. Like, you need something else. I
feel you.
I prefer something, like, mentally stimulating, like
Totally.
an audiobook or something like
Totally,
that.
yeah.
But usually what I'll do is just switch between music and podcasts the whole ride home.
Yeah, I guess I'll do the same. So, a lot of times I'll just use music, but then, yeah, I get what you're saying. Sometimes I'll do music, and then I'll be like, all right, it's time to listen to like a lecture or something that I'll find interesting.
A TED Talk or something,
Yeah.
something informative, something mentally stimulating, yeah.
Mm.
And sometimes I just sit in silence, to be honest. I just like sitting with your own thoughts. You know?
Mm-hmm.
A man and his thoughts.
A man in his thoughts.
A wide world of possibilities.
Right.
Have you guys ever thought about this? So, every single person in your immediate family has been inside your mom.
God. Get out of here.
It's good.
It's not wrong.
Has been inside your mom.
That's the mentally stimulating part I was talking about.
That would feel interesting from a mother's point of view. They're like,
Wow.
all y'all have been up in this.
I read something about motherly love versus
Loverly love.
like like loverly, because it's in essence what it is the motherly love is two people that are one becoming two, and
Oh, loverly love is two people that are two becoming one.
yeah, exactly.
That's cool. I haven't really thought about it like
it's
that,
like the
but
complete
that's
opposite of motherly love.
yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting. There's a merging and then there's a separating. It's interesting.
That's why
That's
Wally
cool, I
has
like
a
that.
quote. It's like, as long as your mama love you, don't ever love a woman.
Yeah, right. That's all you need.
What's the last hour of the podcast? There's just nothing but silence.
Just chilling.
That'd be pretty funny. But, yeah.
I can't even think of anything else to.
We covered a lot.
We did. How deep are we? We're 2 hours in.
2 hours in?
I think this is the longest one yet.
Really?
Yeah.
No way. How long has your other ones been? Like
Ooh, I
hour and a half? Or,
I think I've done some that are an hour and a half.
Okay.
So let's look. Hour 17, hour 10. All the rest were under an hour. All these are under an hour.
Nice.
I think some with my grandpa that I did originally are a little bit longer.
Cool.
106, 108. Yeah, this is by far the longest.
Heck yeah. This is a cool setup. I like this. I like rarely serious TV. Nice.
Yeah, this is the original brand.
Cool.
That's how I like to look at this stuff. It's just branding yourself, you know.
Do we get to take a picture?
Do what?
Do we get to take a picture?
You want to?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like the three of us?
Yep.
Yeah, let's take it
Nice.
like while we're recording even.
Cool.
Who has the best phone? I would bet I don't.
What kind of phone do you have?
Yeah, that one's probably better.
I have to dip soon too, to be honest.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Just thought I'd get the photo in.
Actually, you want to take it
Yeah,
from over
that's
there, and then we'll get the TV and everything in the back.
I like it. Get my hair.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn on.
I know we're all like, move your roll.
One of those should work.
So what we'll do is we'll start the podcast off with the video footage, and then once the video died or whenever that died, it because it usually only lasts like an hour or so, or probably like an hour and a half on full charge, and then we'll just put that picture in, and we'll go from there.
I didn't realize there was even a camera down here.
Oh yeah, it hasn't been recording the whole time since you've been here.
Really?
Okay.
How's the sound quality with this thing? Is it decent?
Yeah, it's
Good
actually
enough?
pretty good.
Good enough?
Yeah, good enough for sure.
Maybe not when I'm jiggling it around.
Just blowing in it like. How's the sound quality? Yeah, honestly, it's been. I've been pretty happy with the production.
Where'd you get it?
as well.
Have you had this a while?
I
or?
bought it on YouTube originally. I have a lavalier, which is the one that you're gonna run up your shirt. So I got that originally for prank videos. Never used it for a prank video, which I might do a prank video at some point, like in the near future. Honestly, I think that'd be fun to do.
Nice.
I thought I'd
Super
get
Brady.
on the CC's or the pizza.
Wait, tell the audio what your idea was. I like that.
Alright, so I have a $15 gift card to Little Caesars. So in essence, I can get like 3 pizzas for free. So I want Jordan to walk in there, get a pizza, walk out the front door, just throw it as far as he can in the parking lot, and walk back and ask for another, and see if they'll give it to him or what their reaction is.
Nice.
Can I get another pizza?
You know?
I wonder what they'll do.
Oh, that'd be so funny. You gotta make it so that they can see it though.
Oh, yeah.
Especially but if two of us walked in there and then one of us held the door open and we threw it from inside to outside.
Yeah, like we want them to see it.
Yeah.
Whoever's working there.
Or pull some Breaking Bad shit and throw it on the roof.
Nice.
We visited the house for Breaking Bad. Are you familiar with that show?
Yes.
Good show.
You visited
Good show.
the house?
The house in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Like where he's supposed to live, like Bryan
Yeah,
Cranston?
where he lived back in the show.
Where the pizza goes on the roof?
Yep.
Did
We were
you
gonna throw a pizza on the roof. It's actual problem there.
Probably.
Yeah.
Who is it? What?
Teenagers will go back.
Who
and
lives there?
throw.
Is anybody
So,
live there?
okay, so
or is it just a house?
We were going there originally, and we were kind of scoping the place out, and then we walked back to our car. We were gonna go get a pizza and buy pizza after seeing the place, and then throw it on the roof. And as we're there, kind of scoping the place out, this old man waddles out with an oxygen tank and a cane, and we both just kind of look at each other because I was with my Australian buddy. And we just both look at each other and we're like, yeah, dude, fuck this. I'm not going to make this old man with a cane and oxygen suit get on the roof of his house. I would not be able to sleep.
That's
tonight.
that's who lives there?
Yeah,
Oh
that's who
my
lives there now.
goodness. Do you think he makes meth?
I think so.
I think so. I think he sells it from there too.
Dude, that'd be so ironic.
That would be very ironic. It's just like, I got the blue stuff.
He's committed. I don't even think they were that big of Breaking Bad fans, to be honest.
Maybe not, yeah.
Honestly, it'd be kind of a disgrace. Nothing against the people or the residents that live there, but if they don't watch that TV show, like, I don't know, I feel like you shouldn't be able to live in that house.
That should be a requirement to live in the Breaking Bad house.
Actually, speaking of movie houses, I have a buddy from California that I met when I was going to Maryville University, my second semester of college, my freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude, so he's from Cali, so somewhere in SoCal, or Southern California. And he knows the homeowner of the house they use in Step Brothers. And that room that they use for the drum set, where like he rubs his balls on the drum set, that was my buddy's friend's room.
Okay.
So I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I like that scene.
Yeah, that's a hilarious scene. That's a hilarious scene. It's so graphic too. Like you don't think they're actually gonna show anything, and then they show like the fake balls on there, and you're just like, oh god.
Sure. Yeah, I haven't seen the movie in a while.
Good movie. What are you thinking? Anything else you want to cover, or should we call this quits?
It's up to you. I mean, I don't have anything specific, but
I can't think of anything on the
can't think of anything. We covered a lot of topics.
We have.
It's a good pod.
This is a good pod.
Nice.
I love shortening up the pod too.
Me too. I've noticed you started saying that, and then I start saying it too. I'm like, pod sounds pretty cool.
The lingo, baby.
Do a
The
pod.
Do some pod, man. Cool. I guess the send off will be.
Yeah. Any concluding statements?
I want to point out anybody making it to the end of these.
Good job. For one, good job.
Good shit. Good shit out there. But even if you skipped to like 2 hours and you only listen to the last 15, like I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you listening right now. Please subscribe if you don't mind, and well, anything, I just appreciate your time. If I'm gonna take your time, I hope to produce the best quality possible, and I want my guests to enjoy the experience, and I want my listeners to enjoy the experience as much as possible. So,
Hell yeah.
Just some
You got
appreciation.
Any final words?
Any final words, Joe? None.
Peace, love, and prosper.
There you go.
Peace, love, and
That's all
prosper.
you need.
That's what we're in it on for sure.
I agree.
Bye.